What a great day. What a great weekend. NHL, NBA, WNBA, actually. Appointment setting. And what is it now? 69 days until July 27th, the first day of Eagle training camp. 73 days until Chargers-Lions Hall of Fame game, Canton, Ohio. 108 days until the banner falls at Lincoln Financial with the Dallas Cowboys in the building. And I love this, a brand new contract extension for yours truly, even though nobody knows what it is. And most teams release, the particulars of a contract. So wait a minute here. I want to release this to you here. And I want to read you this statement from the Philadelphia Eagles. This is classic. As an organization, we have always strived to create a championship culture of sustained success. Basically patting himself on the back for years and years of success without Sirianni. Nothing is more important to fostering such an environment than having tremendous leadership. Nick has embodied everything we were looking for in a head coach since we hired him 4 years ago. His authentic style of leadership, football intelligence. Oh my God. Passion for the game. I'll give him that. And growth mindset. What? Have helped to bring out the best in our team. I'm excited for what the future holds for the Philadelphia Eagles. Philadelphia Eagle chairman and CEO Jeffrey Lurie. What's the deal? Dude, nobody ever said that he wasn't going to get extended. Nobody said he wasn't going to be. Everyone assumed it. Nope, this is what? He's telling us shit we know already. What's the breaking news? You signed a guy to a contract extension? Well, shit, he earned that at least. I know that. And I'm in with that. How much? How long? I mean, he's telling us shit we know already. By the way, Kyle, you have a super chat we got to get to right off the top if we can, Xander. Okay? Thank you very much, Devin. That is really cool of you. I appreciate it. We did a 2-hour show in Tampa today. Yes. On 820. Absolutely. Thank you so much, Devin. That's really cool. Yeah. Hey, by the way, we knew this already. He's going to get a contract extension. How much? How long? That was the story. You're not going to make – hey, by the way, that guy is not – now I know what they're doing. They're not giving him the most money of any coach in the NFL, which would mean he'd be the highest paid coach in North American history. That ain't happening. That's not happening. Or they would have said it. Dude, if I'm going to make a guy the highest paid coach, I'm going to stand on the highest mountain that I can, and I'm going to toot my own horn and go, hey, I gave that guy more money than any coach in the history of North America. Instead, hey, look, read it again. This is really classic. As an organization, this is patting yourself on the back. You're telling me nothing here. What are you telling me? As an organization, we have always strived to create a championship culture and sustain success. Okay, we know this. Nothing is more important than an environment than having a tremendous leader. Okay, this is glazing stuff. Nick has embodied everything we're looking for in a yes man. Okay, we hired him 4 years ago. His authentic style of leadership. That's why you got Big Dom on the sideline, right? Okay, he's the only coach I've ever seen with a bouncer. His football intelligence, that was under display first 4 games of the year. Passion for the game, I'll give him that. He told me nothing. The press release was stupid. Shit, we already knew this. How much we paying for Uncle Junior? Hey, that's my point. Eagles don't want to make other head coaches jealous. Yeah, right. Okay, tell yourself that, Junior. How much are you paying him? How many years is it? How about this? Say you don't even, from this day forward, Texas boy is Diddy boy. There you go. Way to start it out. Hit the like button. What a stupid press release. Hey, we really love our guy. We're really going to extend him. He's our coach moving forward for how long? 2 years? 3 years? Hey, just say you don't want to give the money out. How long are you extending him? Ever? Is it a Supreme Court seating? Oh, the Eagles are the only team that don't release. Shit, when Andy Reid, let me double check Pro Football Talk. Now, I got Derrick Henry's extension, got inside his contract. Nothing on Nick. Kellen Moore, Derrick Henry, I'm very thankful for the extension. Nick Sirianni earns a multi-year extension. No numbers, no nothing. Okay. Hell, when Andy Reid was the highest paid coach, Kansas City made it very evident. And by the way, I have not changed my opinion on the guy. I don't think he's very good. I think he's a product of the environment. And I'll say it again. You guys can glaze over him all you want. And you can try to sell me everything you want on him. Sorry, I'm not sold. I know a good head coach because I played for a Hall of Fame coach. He ain't it. He ain't it. That's not a Hall of Fame coach. I've been around Tom Landry. I've been around Jimmy Johnson. That's not a Hall of Fame coach. Okay? That's not. What about his winning? I think he's a product of the environment. I'll say it again. He's a product of his assistant coaches. If they don't hire good assistants, he fails. If they hire great assistants, he succeeds. And the Eagles have been great at it. If you read that press release again, it's more about Jeffrey Lurie glazing over how the Eagles have hired than it is about the extension, because there's nothing really about the extension. And Nick's a great guy. He's done a really good job here. We like his leadership. Okay, we knew this already. We already knew this. What in that press release didn't you not know? Help me out here. You know, I see the guys at WIP they're glazing over this stuff. What are you glazing over? Everyone knew a guy coming off a Super Bowl was going to get an extension. Why is it so you can't? Okay, say you don't want to give the money out. You can't say 3 years? 4? What? Extended how? Is he the highest paid guy? I don't believe that. Okay? Wrong about what? Wrong about what? My interpretation of a press release that told you nothing? Wrong about what? Nobody said he wasn't going to get extended, doofus. Again, wrong about what? What are you talking about? Wrong about, dude, Lenny, everyone knew he was going to get extended. I'm not complaining. I'm asking, bro, if you think going, how many years is it? How much you paying him? It's something that is going to rub your ass the wrong way, then you know already they're not paying him. And I'll tell you flat out, you know why that's important? Because we're going to find out how important the organization sees him. If they think that guy is the highest paid guy in pro football, they're going to pay him and reward him that. If they think that record is exactly like you guys are saying, he's the highest paid coach. I say he's not. I say he's not. Okay. What's the fucking deal? Simple. What's the deal? Nobody's saying he was. Bro, this is stupid. You guys can't take a question that I'm asking. Personally, I am not deviating off it. I don't think he's a great coach. I just don't. I think they're a product. Once again, the most important people that were in the building last year were Kellen Moore and Vic Fangio, and also with Stoutland. It wasn't the head guy. He was a bum last year. No, not next topic. I'll run it. You sit back and fan and take your Eagle banners and fan away, guy. It's a 2-year deal? A 2-year deal for a guy who's taken you to the Super Bowl twice in 3 years. Fake news. Fake news. What's the contract? Hey, get this. This is why your market has become soft, Philadelphia. Because if you can't ask that question and not get your panties in a bind, you ain't the same Philadelphia. Because guess what? You getting paid tells you where you are in the landscape of how people think of you. You guys are used to coaches patting you on the head, telling you how great you are. Salaries speak, dog. That coach talk don't work. Okay? That coach talk don't work. Jealous of what? Are you talking about, Sue? Jealous of what? All I'm asking, how long, how much? Jealous of what? I'm not jealous of another man's money, Sue. Money don't make the man. Character does. Try that one out for size. Just because you have more money than another man or you make more money than another man, don't make you a better person. Money doesn't define character. It must to you. It doesn't to me. Damn. Now I learn all I need to know about Sue. She thinks jealousy is based off of dollar signs. Me, it's character. Sills, this show represents what WIP used to be when I was young in the early 2000s. Yeah, because you know why, Kyle? It's just asking simple questions. They can't do it anymore because the ramifications. And if a guy and a host makes a point, okay, they get their panties in a bind. I'm not asking anything, and I'm not really saying anything except for this. I don't think he's a good coach. Get this. Listen to this guy. Since it doesn't matter how much you make, Sills. What? Wait a minute. Let me ask you something here. If you had a guy in the building and he was making more money than you, but he was more important than you, would you have a cow with that? Nick Sirianni's resume, the guy in Jacksonville just got $16 million annually. It does matter. And by the way, I don't know what you're talking about, Twiz. Once again, Sirianni brought in Steichen, and he did not. He did not. Bro, Frank Reich recommended those guys to Jeffrey Lurie and Howie Roseman because he recommended Nick Sirianni. He did not bring those guys in. Don't you remember the first Super Bowl press conference when he said at Super Bowl week, I had to introduce myself to 80% of the coaching staff because I didn't know them. Bro, again, stop making my question about me. How much? How long? You don't think that's relevant? How do you not think that's relevant? Bro, how do you not think that's relevant? It's how the Eagles see him nationally and in the league. This is, when A.J. Brown saw Ahmad St. Brown get more money than him, he made us think about it. Players are gauged by the next guy. Same as coaches. Dude, Nick Sirianni, in my opinion, I'm not impressed with him. How many Hall of Fame coaches you been around? I'm not impressed. He does not impress me. That man does not impress me. Seals, the Knicks signing on the heels of the Niners' huge mistake with Purdy. I don't think it's a mistake. Why is Brock Purdy a mistake when he's delivered everything and overachieved? How is Brock Purdy a mistake? I heard Jeff Kerr say that. What has that guy done in his career that makes you say that he was a mistake for him to sign that? Name me one thing he hasn't delivered on. He's delivered more than Dak. How about this? Name me one thing Trevor Lawrence has done more than Brock Purdy. They came in the league the same year. Name me one thing he's done more. Or Kyler Murray. Okay? Name me one thing. Seals, the Knicks signing on the... I heard the deal was 5 years, but the money is being finalized. It's $265. I already talked to John Lynch. Dude, having a meltdown? Bro, you're such a ridiculous human being. Meltdown? Far from it. Far from it. It's a quite, hey, guess what? Now I know what's going on in Philly. Your media sucks. Can't ask a question without you getting your panties in a bind because you're the ones melting down. How long and how much? How long and how much? Nobody can ask that? Wow. Bro, everyone in that league, it's called professional sports. Everyone is gauged on what the next guy makes. Okay? Everyone. A mistake is trading away Pickens when you have no quarterback. I don't, and trading for DK Metcalf. That I don't get. Okay? Get this, see this guy crying about what? How much? How much is I'll do it better for this guy so it feels better for him. He's used to it. Hey, well, how long are they extending him for? And how much are they paying him? Are they making him the highest paid coach in North American sports? Is that better? Some of you can't take it now because you've been so wussy-eyed. I'm just curious. How long? How much? Fifth highest win percentage, so what? George Seifert had a higher win percentage and won more Super Bowls, and they fired his ass because he was a product of the Niners. Your boy's George Seifert to me. And by the way, to Brandon's take, that means he thinks that Sirianni's a better coach than Bill Parcells. Here, let's do this. According to Brandon, highest percentage winning NFL head coaches all time. Let's take a look at this. And this is who Brandon thinks is a better coach than Nick Sirianni. Or Nick is a better coach than. Let's see here. Let's go win percentage. So Nick Sirianni's a better coach than Don Shula, Tony Dungy, Bill Belichick. You think Tony Dungy's a better coach than Bill Belichick because he has a higher win percentage? How many Super Bowls did the Niners win after George Seifert left? None. Because they changed ownership, Crowley. But then again, you wouldn't know that. Hey, Xander, I missed Pump. If you could, yeah, there we go. Sills versus J-Mac in a Punjab match. P.S. Daryl Morey, please draft my ace of hearts. a.k.a. dude named Arias. I like that too. Brian, thank you, brother. Appreciate it. All supers go to the top. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Let me see here. So, according to what's his name, Brandon, this is who he thinks Nick Sirianni's a better coach than. Don Shula, George Halas, Paul Brown, Tony Dungy, Andy Reid, Bill Belichick, Bill Cowher, Joe Gibbs, Bill Walsh. Who else? Bill Parcells, Chuck Noll, Mike Ditka. You think Nick's better than them coaches because he got a higher win percentage. Oh my God. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Sure. Yeah. He's a better coach than Chuck Noll. Yeah. Holy cow. Hey, he's a better coach than Shula. He's a better coach than Shula, Noll. Who else? And Belichick. Let's see. Because he has the higher, Brandon says, because he has a higher win percentage. So that's 2 Super Bowls, 4, and 6. So 12 Super Bowls. You guys think Nick Sirianni's better coach than Shula, Noll, and Belichick. Is that right? He's being sarcastic? Yeah, I don't think so. Yeah, I don't think so. Yeah. I don't think so. Seals, if you hammer Jalen Hurts for being overpaid, I didn't say Jalen was overpaid. You've never heard me say Hurts is overpaid. I've never said that. I've never said he's overpaid. I mean, $60 million he's overpaid. Like making him the highest paid guy, he's overpaid. Both quarterbacks need a great supporting cast to succeed. Purdy's advantage was his contract, but now he's paid more. I said that I don't believe, no, I know what I said. I don't believe that you're getting the max out of what Jalen Hurts signed for, because if you're talking about 29.03 and 18 touchdowns, you want a little more out of that because you're not getting your return on investment. You need more out of the passing game out of that guy, is what I said. Yes, that's exactly what I said. Hey, Spike, that's what I just said. Dude, I do not have to. We're not turning this back on me. This got nothing to do with me. How much? How long? How much? How long? Can't answer it. This is classic. Look at this stupid press release. This is the stupidest press release. Okay? This is the stupidest press release of all time. I mean, it tells you nothing. I think guys are commenting on it on WIP, and they're glazing over things they don't even know. Is he the highest paid guy? Is he not? Is he the 10th highest paid guy? Your quarterback's 11th now in most money for quarterbacks. As an organization, we have always strived to create a championship culture. That's glazing themselves. Nothing is more important in fostering such an environment than having tremendous leadership. Is he talking about himself? He just got through glazing over sustained success. That's about him. Nick has embodied everything we're looking for in a head coach. I bet. Since we hired him 4 years ago, his authentic style of coaching. That's why you got to put a babysitter on the sidelines for him? This is a joke release. I have no respect for it. I have no respect for that press release because it said shit. It said nothing. We knew this. So they told us they were going to extend him. Okay, great. Thanks. Did you make him the highest paid coach? You should. Hey, here, well, let me do this. According to you, he should be the highest paid coach. Why wouldn't you want to toot your horn over that? 14 quarterbacks make more than Mahomes. Raise incoming. Got to remember something, though. He has the highest payout. And remember, he signed a $450 million 10-year contract. And the majority of that money's guaranteed. Nobody has signed for anything over $300 million. Mahomes has $450 that's coming to him. There's a $500 million coming to him. Get this. This guy here says this is whining. Okay, they signed Nick Sirianni to a contract. How much and how long? That's whining? That's fucking whining. How is that whining? How much and how long? Bro, do you even know what whining is? It's a question. How much and how long? Dude, every stupid comment is going to get that response. How much, how long? And if you can't answer that, you know why I want to know that? I want to know what they think of him. It's not so much that they extended him. Okay? It's not so much that they extended him. How much, how long tells me what they think of him. Why does it matter? Because it tells you what they think of him. That's why. So hey, Dallas Goedert got a pay cut. You knew what they thought of him. They didn't think highly of him. So they gave him a pay cut. I want to know if they're looking at Nick Sirianni in the same way or better. You looked at Dallas Goedert, and he was the only player on your Super Bowl championship team you didn't think a lot of when it came to paying him. And the guys you didn't want got paid raises. Everyone did except Goddard. I want to know if you're taking shit on Nick too. Or did you give him a raise? Did you? Or no? How in the world did Dallas Goedert get a raise? Get this. Who cares? Once again, you're missing the point. Don't you want to know if your guy and they look at him and they reward that record? Because you know why? If they don't make him the highest paid coach, all that bullshit that you put out to me about his winning and going to Super Bowls, they didn't look at it that way. That's why. Yeah, you know what you're going to get? 99.9% of the people that will be in Philly, my network, and everywhere else that covers that team will be glazing the extension, even though they don't know what it is. How can you have a comment on it or know what it is when you don't even know what the particulars are? How can you comment on something you don't know what you're looking at? That's not the number. That's not the number. Here. Sirianni signs a multi-year contract. No details anywhere. Nothing. How long? Are you committed to him for 5 years? 7 years? Yeah, you wish. 2 years, $18 million? That's a lie. Fake news. You can't even tell you how long? You can't even tell somebody how long the deal is. Okay, let's go more into this. What's the biggest asset? And don't tell me players play for him. It's a stupid, made-up media comment. Players play for themselves. They're constantly on tape, and they're constantly auditioning for their next job. It's the dumbest thing on the planet. Do you work for your boss? When you walk into your place of business, do you work for your boss or do you work for you, putting out a product that you're proud of? Or do you put the product out so that your boss could be proud of it? I put a product out because I have a standard that I set. I don't give a shit about his standard. I care about my standard. And my standard all for 35 years has been something that I set. And I don't do that for someone else. I do that for me. Can you say what the hell? Just say what he got paid. Oh, how many years? Dude, if you don't want to even tell me, how long are you committed to him? Did you give him a 5-year contract? Horrible take. This guy here thinks you're talking to kids that play at the schoolyard. They're professional football players. They don't fucking play for people and coaches and shit like that. Now, look, it helps. They like the coach. You play for every Tuesday's direct deposits. If I'm making $25, $35, $40 million a year, I'm playing for a standard that I set. Playing for a guy in the locker room is asinine. It's pro sports. Like you going to work, you have a standard you set. Stupid take. My God almighty. You think somebody walks into a building that's a pro athlete that sits there? What happened at 23 to that standard? Those guys laid an egg. That wasn't Nick Sirianni's fault in 23. Those players quit playing. They didn't want to play. They didn't like the environment. Had nothing to do with Nick. Those players stopped playing. 2023's meltdown had everything to do with the players quitting. Had nothing to do with the coaching. The changing of the coaches was bullshit. And that upset the apple cart. Sitting here telling me, hey, by the way, look at this guy. What's that got to do with me asking how many years and how much? How many years and how much? This guy calls me a dickhead here. How many years and how much? What are you talking about, guy? I'm not even sure what you're talking to me about. I'm really not. I don't know what you're talking about. How much and how many years? And that guy turns around and calls me a dickhead because I asked that question. That's what we do here, jackass. Okay? Yes, absolutely they do. When Sean Payton signed that contract with Denver, it came out that he was making $18.5 million, and the Saints had to get a first-round draft choice for compensation because he was still under contract. When Andy Reid signed the richest contract in pro football, here, let's take a look at Andy Reid. Andy Reid signs highest paid coach. Let's see here. Andy Reid, new contract. New contract extension. Highest paid. Let's just look at, I don't even know. Here. Blockbuster deal. 2024, April 23rd, Andy Reid. Kansas City Chiefs have reached a contract extension that will make the 3-time out of the Kansas City newspaper, 3-time Super Bowl winner, the highest paid coach in U.S. sports history. Chiefs owner Clark Hunt vowed to make Andy the highest paid coach, with the previous mark being at $90 million, 5 years. Denver Broncos Sean Payton. Reid's new deal is expected to be worth in the neighborhood of $104 million if he concludes the 5 years. The contract will run through 2029. Here are the contracts that were put out publicly with the details. Andy Reid, Sean Payton, Jim Harbaugh, Sean McVay, and Mike Tomlin. All disclosed on how much they make and also guarantees. Instead, you get this bullshit type of press release from your Eagle team telling you that we like Nick. That's all that thing told me. Great. How long and how much? Okay. No, I'm asking you a question. Here, Sills are trying to insinuate that Nick Sirianni brings nothing to the table. Okay, what's he bring? Players love him. Players love getting paid on the highest paid payroll in football. The Eagles have the highest paid payroll. They have to in all of football, especially on that offensive side. If you're an offensive player, you get paid handsomely. Dude, get this. How much and how long is jealousy? Okay. I guess. Nick is the greatest coach in Eagle history. So if you were building a football team from scratch with no GM and no owner you didn't know, Nick Sirianni's the coach you would hire instead of Bill Belichick or Chuck Noll or Don Shula. He'd be the one. Wow. Are you fucking ridiculous? Why is it so damn important when it's really none of our... Philly, I do a show where when coaches and players get signed to extensions, those are how the league and teams see you and the media sees you. It's not based on it's based on your pay. If you're the highest paid guy, like Cristiano Ronaldo or Messi, people know that. Get this. Here, I'll do it again. Where is it? How much and how long? Every time I see that, how much and how long are you extending him? Okay? How much, how long? How long are you committed to him? And how much? Why can't they tell us? Everyone else does. Get this. It doesn't matter. Of course it matters. Of course it matters. Because it lets me know what the Eagles think of him. If they think he's so important, they'll make him the highest paid. Again, wrong about what? I never said he wasn't going to be extended. Wrong about what, Philly? What are you right about? What are you right about that I'm wrong about? Everyone knows who's going to get extended. What are you right about and I'm wrong? How much per year? That hasn't been listed. That hasn't been published. I don't even know how long it is. So, Mr. International, I'm not wrong on anything. I'm curious. What am I wrong on? Okay? If you knew, you would still be. No. Oh, well, I don't think I'm going to stick to my guns. I don't like that coach. Okay? Do you think players care what the head coach? That's not what I'm talking about here. I don't give a shit what the players think what he makes. You're always wrong about the Eagles, you bum. What am I wrong about? How long and how much? Wrong about what? Wrong about what? Nobody on the planet after winning the Super Bowl didn't think that guy was going to get extended. Wrong about what? Tell you what I am right about. They're not going to let those numbers loose. They will not let those numbers loose because he's not the highest paid coach, or they would have. They would have. That's an organization that likes to kiss their own ass. And they would have. Thank you, senor, as always. Okay? Get this. Hold on. I agree with you there, Sills. Thanks, Jason. So what I don't know what you're talking about there, kid. Let's see here. Sills is lying. Get this. Oh, I got you. James, thank you. James, how much and how long? Look at how everybody's having a cow. Because you know why? Once again, they just don't want to say it. Seals, what's your thoughts on Joe Douglas returning to the Eagles? I think it's a great hire. He's a really good talent evaluator. And I thought he did a nice job in New York with the Jets. I think the owner got in the way of the quarterback decision. Okay? How could you be the best organization in football when in the last 25 years, the Patriots have 6 titles since he's owned the team? You think Jeffrey Lurie has the best organization since he's owned the team? I don't know. You got just as many Super Bowls in the last 4 years as or less than the Chiefs. How can you be better than the Chiefs when the Chiefs have more Super Bowls in the last 5-6 years? How's that possible? How are you better than them? I thought winning matters too. I mean, do I think the Eagles are in the top 3? Absolutely. Absolutely. What mistake? How long? How much? How long? How much? I'm asking you to be accountable. How long? How much are you extending him? Simple. Answer it. And do me a favor, too. Rolla, tell me what his biggest asset is that he brings. It's how much and how long is all that matters. Hold on. It is all that matters with coaches. Highest paid coaches in the NFL fly. Those are the ones that people think that are the most important to their organizations. That's why it's important. It'll tell me how much the Eagles think of him. Is he the most important person in the building? Let me ask you something here. If they pay him more than Howie, do you believe that Nick Sirianni is more important than Howie Roseman? His deal's up next. Let me ask you this. They'll never pay that. Never in a million years. Not paying him $20 million. Do you think he should be paid more than Howie? And they'll never pay Howie 20. They'll pay Howie 10. General managers don't make a lot compared to coaches. Do you believe that Howie... So according to you, let me ask you this. You think Andy Reid's the most important person in that Kansas City building? I do. Do you think that Sean Payton is the most important person in that Denver building? I do. Who's the most important person between Nick and Howie in that Eagle organization? Just curious. What would you say? Who's more important, Howie or Nick, in keeping the sustained success that Jeffrey talks about? Okay? Howie. Do you think they're going to pay Howie Roseman $20 million? Bro, he makes 6 now. They're not going to pay him $20 million. Highest paid general manager, I believe, is Caserio down in Houston at 8. So wait a minute. The general manager is more important than the head coach? Name me a place in football That the general manager is more important than the head coach. Name me another place in the NFL. Seals, I was agreeing with you. Fly, thank you, brother. My bad. Name me a place where the GM is more important than the head coach. Brett Veach is not more. Brett Veach was brought to Kansas City by Andy Reid. The Lions, Brett Holmes is not paid more than what Dan Campbell is. San Francisco, you think John Lynch is more important than Kyle Shanahan? Not happening. John Lynch ain't making $17 million. Kyle Shanahan is. You think that Eric DeCosta is making more than John Harbaugh? You're high. John Harbaugh makes $17 million. That's not true. Jerry Jones, okay? Jerry Jones, the owner of the Cowboys. That's right. You guys are making things up here. There's no GM in the NFL that makes more money than the head coaches. Nobody is more important than your coach. Les Snead, Kevin Demoff. What did they do before Sean Payton showed up? I must have missed that. They weren't the general managers. Charlie Army and those guys were in St. Louis. What did those guys do before they got a hold of Sean McVay? Sean McVay makes $18 million. I mean, if you're going to come here with something, make sure you come here with some statistics of facts, or some of these coaches that are considered not replaceable in organizations. Dude, Sirianni's going to continue to win games no matter if it's him, or the Eagles are going to continue to win game no matter if it's him, Andy Reid, Chip Kelly, or if it's Doug Peterson. They're going to continue to win. They're going to continue to win. The Bills. So you think that Bean in Buffalo makes more money than McVay or McDermott? You're making shit up. You're just making shit up. Where's Howie's? Now, that contract doesn't have to be put out there. And I'll tell you what, if you look at most general manager contracts in the NFL, that's a hard thing to find because they don't really throw that out there. But reports were that he was making $6 million, a little less than the guy in Houston. That's how they got Caserio away. Remember something. You think Nick Caserio, let me ask you this. How many people in here think that Howie Roseman's a better GM than the guy in Houston? Let me take a look at something. I want to double check and I want to be factual here. I want to be factual, so I don't want to make sure. Let's see here. I want to make sure I get this right. Yeah, he's a 6-time Super Bowl general manager. How in the world can Howie Roseman be a better general manager than a guy who won 6 Super Bowls? He's got 6 Super Bowls on his resume as the GM of the Patriots. Howie's got 2. Last I checked, 6 beats 2. I mean, right? And here, get this. He was the director of pro personnel from 2004. Then he was the director of all personnel from 2008 on. And he was now he's the general manager of the Texans. He's general manager and president. This guy has 6 Super Bowls. 3. My bad. You're right. Does Howie trust Nick as much as he trusts his position coaches? The contract will tell us. Chris, there you go. There you go. That's my take, Chris. How much do you think of him? Is how much you'll pay him and how long you'll pay him. That's right. Chris, now you're thinking. Remember something. Hey, dude, if your boss loves you, They'll sign you to a five-year contract, make you the highest paid guy if they think that you have brought so much to the table that you're not replaceable. That's right. Dude, paychecks tell you how important you are to a franchise, whether you're a coach or a player. And when I didn't realize asking a simple question would result in such a hostile answer by you. That's all we do here. Wow. Sirianni and Hurts. You ask one question, you guys get your panties in a bind. Sills, the money are important, but the years will tell us more. That's right. The commitment will also, like Bob, if they gave him this $16 million over 5 per, I would think that's a huge commitment. If they gave him 20 over 2, like 2020, that's not a big commitment. It's a lot of money. It's kind of like, I half like you. But if I agree, Bob, if they go like this, Bob, 16 and a half, okay, and they go 5 years, I would say this. Hey, that's a pretty good contract for Nick, especially in an organization that has a lot of turnover in position coaches. Okay? If the contract is tied to Jalen Hurts, AJ, and Smitty, it will say a lot. He's viewed he's viewed as disposable player. Let me show you something too, Bob. Let's take a look at this on an organization that has massive turnover. You ready? Okay. Let's do the offense. And then let's do the defense. And you tell me how the organization sees coaches. Okay? All right. So the first coordinator that Jalen Hurts had was Doug Peterson. Fired him. Then it was Sirianni. Demoted him and gave it to Shane Steichen. Then it was Shane. Right? Then, this is since Hurts has been in the building. Then it went to Johnson. Brian Johnson. Then it went to Kellen. Now it's gone into the hands of Kevin Petula. So just on offense alone, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 coordinators, not counting position coaches. 6 coordinators since 2020 when Hurts was drafted. That's 6 coordinators. On defense, okay, Schwartz is gone. Gannon gone. Desai, Patricia. And now you have Vic. So since 2000, you have changed out 2 head coaches. You got 2 head coaches, Nick and Doug, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 coordinators on both offense and defense. You think that's a big turnover on a team that's won so much since 2000? You think 11 coordinators and 2 head coaches in 5 years, you think that's a lot? How do you think they look at coaches? Do you think they look at them at a high note? Or do you think they look at them as interchangeable? I just said during the Hurts era, Scott. Hey, Bob, let me ask you this, Bob. Think about that. Since Jalen Hurts was drafted, Doug Peterson, Sirianni, then he was demoted after 2 and 4, Shane, Brian Johnson, Kellen Moore, and now Kevin Petula. Defense, Schwartz, Gannon, Desai, Patricia, and now Vic. That's 11 coordinators, not counting linebacker coaches, not counting D-line coaches. In the last 2 years, you've replaced your D-line coach twice. Your linebacker coach, 3 times. Your secondary coach, 3 times. I mean, do you find that to be how Philadelphia looks at coaches? I'm curious. By the way, not an opinion. This is your actions. Well, Shane Steichen got, let's see here. Shane got a job. Brian Johnson was fired. Kellen got a job. And Petula got elevated. Schwartz retired. Now he's in Cleveland. Gannon's a head coach. Patricia and Desai were fired. And Vic. So since 2000, you've had probably 20 coaching changes, either position coaching or coordinators. And you're asking me, why is it important how many years and how much? I'm telling you, I want to know what they think of them, because their track record shows you they don't think very highly of coaches. Nobody's in that building a long time. Sills, that amount of turnover only makes sense if you have 3 to 4 Super Bowls. Bob, do you now get where I'm going with this? Nobody ever said Nick wasn't going to get an extension. I want to know what they think of him, because they really don't think a lot of not just interchangeably pulling a guy and putting someone else in. You won 11 games. You had 8th-ranked passing offense or 8th-ranked offense, and you fired Brian Johnson. Okay. It resulted in a Super Bowl the way they ran the ball a year ago. No problem. My question would be, what's the commitment? I just think it's a fair question. How long are you committed? Get this. This guy just said this. How committed are you to him, and how much you paying him is making it more difficult? How is that making that more difficult with a simple question? Maybe that's hard for you to follow. I just want to know how long. Dude, like I said, if you get this, who cares? Well, do you want your coach around a long time or no? Or is it 3 years? Sure. Well, according to M. Reyes, then, you pay him $20 million. Okay? M. Reyes, if they don't see M. Reyes here, he'll be wrong if they didn't pay him the highest paid coach. Okay. According to M. Reyes, he will be the highest paid coach when the numbers come out. Okay? I don't believe that. Okay? I personally do not believe that. Okay? We may not get Gary Cobb today. He's in Mike Quick's golf tournament. Okay? Let's see what Brandon says here. I don't want my head coach to turn into Tomlin. Mike Tomlin's going to Canton. You always got to keep people earning their spot. Can't guarantee too much to Nick. You know what, Brandon, that's a pretty decent take, because I will agree with you on this. Mike Tomlin has not won a playoff game in 10 years. And that has to get better, or you're right. Especially a place like Pittsburgh. I'm going to agree with you, Brandon. Mike Tomlin, the standard can't be, well, he hasn't had a lose. Hey, Brandon, to your point, you can't have a coach like Mike Tomlin and have the benchmark and the standard be, well, I don't want him to have a losing season. Losing season in 17 years? That's not a standard. Okay? That's barely that's punching your time card. Mike Tomlin hasn't won a playoff game in 10 years, my friend. You could take Sean thinks it's 5 years. It's 10 years. Seals, the money don't matter to me because it's not against the cap. Yeah, but I want to know what they think of him. The years tell me what Howie and Jeff think about long-term stability of the team. In the NFL, long-term is more than 4. Forrest goes like this. Forrest, if you gave Nick 3 to 4 years at 17 to 19 million, that's a great contract. That's a great deal. Okay? Because you know why? I don't believe that he's a better coach than Andy Reid. Hey, they just gave Brock Purdy $53 million. For some reason, in my opinion, the 49ers, that contract's going to look stupid. You guys are bitching about a $53 million contract with Brock Purdy. That contract's going to be outdated in 4 years, 3 years at best. Okay? Okay, well, then pay him the most. According to you, Hurts and Sirianni? Sirianni had nothing to do with the play calling. Man, that's a stupid take. I signed him through 2025 when the team's going to be looking into rebuilding around all the cap hits coming at the time. Brandon, these are good takes by you, man. Okay? Our window right now is through 28. I think your window's 26 because you got to start deciding what to do with AJ. Okay? I think because you've got to start deciding what is going to talk about with AJ. Probably after this year going into the offseason here. Okay? What's stupid is you're doubting of Nick. Dude, what is Nick's biggest asset? You tell me. They had a chance to fire him a year ago. And they almost did. Instead, they're talking about his intelligence. What, screaming at the fans? Having to put Big Dom on the sidelines? So you think he fixed that in 6 weeks or 6 months? Yeah, break guy. Talk about lame ass. Talk about lame ass cover. You can look for it anywhere here. Hating? Question asking is not hating. Okay? Sirianni and Hurts have their best for the playoffs. Sirianni. I think they really keep under wraps what they are doing behind closed doors. Super Bowl, NFC Championship prove that Sirianni's elite. Man, you guys think this guy's a better coach than Chuck Noll because he has a higher win percentage. I showed you a guy that had a higher win percentage and won more Super Bowls and won more. He's 10-5 in the postseason. Don't be a creature of the fact that he's a product of the environment. Nick created nothing of that environment. Nothing. That environment was put in place and has been in place. The owner told you in his press release. Sustained success here is exactly what we're looking for. Read the press release. It was more about them than it was about what they were committed to the coach. Get this. Here, I want to show you something here. Let me show you this. Let's go Eagles here. And let's do their press release. One more time. You show me anywhere in here where they're committed to him. Anything outside saying, we signed him for X amount of years. Whatever that's 2, 3, 4, whatever. As an organization that he built, Jeffrey Lurie, we have always strived to create championship cultures or sustain success. Nothing is more important in such an environment than having tremendous leadership. You mean the ability to hire people. That's all glazing themselves. Nick has embodied everything we are looking for in a head coach. Yeah, the guy who doesn't fight back. We had hired him 4 years ago. 4 years ago. He's telling you because when they fired Doug, everyone was questioning whether that was the right move, including all of you. I know people I work with didn't know that was the right move. That's what that line says. You sure hate Eagles quarterback and coach, but they win. I don't hate anybody. I told you before, I hate Nazis. I hate bullshit. Let's see here. I do think he's grown. I do. I do think he's grown and gotten better. I think last year, Vic Fangio probably did so much for his development as a head coach than anything that's been in that building since. I think Vic Fangio had a great influence on him. I think Kellen Moore did too. I think all those guys had a great influence, and I think it tempered him a bit. Can you learn? Yeah. Is he growing into the job? Marcus Hayes said on this program, I don't know. Guys, do me a favor. Please hit the like button. We appreciate all your supers too, by the way. Did I get this one? Oh, yeah. Thank you. Guys, appreciate it. Xander's going to join us at the bottom of the hour. I think, if I'm not mistaken, Gary Cobb's going to try to join us because he had a golf tournament, like I said. I think he said Mike Quick. So hopefully we're able to jump aboard with him. You don't think it was losing the Super Bowl and having a collapse in 23? Probably so, a little bit of that. But again, suppose he wasn't in charge of the offense. He's not in charge of the defense. And he's not in charge of personnel. Nick, also, his first year, 2021, scaled offense back to win game. No, he didn't. Shane Steichen did. They ran RPOs. When he was the play caller, they were 2-4. Dude, you're giving him credit for something he didn't do. Shane Steichen even said it, that he took over the play calling. Sills, you say where can Hurts improve? Where do you think Nick can improve? I think Nick is improving. I think he's improving. I think what he's got to do is just get out of the way. I'll give you a great example of why I love Jimmy Johnson so much and what he did. Now, here's the difference. Jimmy hired all his coordinators, every one of them, and he didn't have to clear it through Jerry. He was going to hire whoever he wanted to be the coordinators. And what Jimmy would do is say that you had, like, over here, you had the wide receivers. Over here, you had the quarterbacks, coaches, the quarterbacks, D-line down here, linebackers over here. And what Jimmy would do in practice, he would go around to every station and he would observe. D-line coach, he'd sit there. He would never say anything. And he would just observe. Then he'd get his coaches in the meetings Monday through Friday. And he would tell them what he thought of the practice. I want to do this. I want to do that. We're going to do this. We're going to run that. And when Sundays came or Saturdays came, he never coached. He never got in the way. He empowered his assistants. Empowering your assistants is the biggest form of flattery that you can give your assistant because they feel empowered. If your assistants feel like they have the total say in what they're doing, they're going to feel empowered, and the players are going to feel that. Getting in the way and coming up with plays like he does sometimes in critical situations, in my opinion, is the one thing he still has to learn. Stay away from it. Let Kevin Petullo make those calls. Let the new quarterback coach and Stoutland make those calls. And then when the Monday meetings come, then you can be critical. Nick is a little bit too overbearing. He's not confident. Confident coach doesn't get involved. Confident coach will let his coordinators coach. That's the difference between Nick Sirianni and Mike Tomlin and John Harbaugh. Those guys won't get in the way. And come hell or high water, they're going to fall on the fence for those guys. Nick doesn't fall on the fence for his assistants. Ever. He doesn't fall on the fence for his players. You say he does. Where was he backing with Dallas Goedert when Goddard got a pay cut? That's not backing your player, going in public and telling you how great a player he is and telling you that, hey, he's really spectacular. And all of a sudden the organization gives him a pay cut. Why? He didn't fall on the sword for him. He didn't fall on the sword for Desai. He didn't fall on the sword for Johnson. He threw him to the wolves. I think he can get better there. Bro, if you're going to say something publicly or not say anything publicly, make it make sense. Don't look like a tool the second time around when you're not really backing. How do you back somebody when he doesn't back the player publicly? You really think Dallas Goedert deserved the pay cut? Really? Everyone got a raise except him. Okay. Well, I've never heard him fight for a coach. Never. That's exactly the type of coach they want. By the way, you disagree, you can have at it. I don't care, really. That's my observations. He doesn't fight for his assistants. When the organization doesn't like the way something's happening, bro, let me ask you this. What head coach in their right mind would make a coordinating change when you're 10-1 because you had one bad game? What guy in their right mind would do that? You were 10-1 in 23. What coach would make that move where you would fire a guy who had beaten the Bills, the Chiefs, the Cowboys, the Rams, the Bucks? What coach wouldn't stand on a sword for that? Not Nick. Look, I said it. I think he's getting better. He's got a long way to go before that looks like a guy where you're like this. Dude, the Eagles have built themselves a great foundation for successful winning, no matter if it's Andy, Doug, or Nick. They draft well. They hire really good assistants. Some assistants go on to become head coach. Look at all the guys that they have hired that have gone on to be head coaches. They've hired. Not Nick. Here, look at this. Assistant coaches that the Eagles have hired since 2000. It's a laundry list of NFL current head coaches. Nick didn't make the decision. That's why Reddick is gone. He outed the front office on that move. To the media, people forgot us all the time. You know what? Again, Jason, I didn't see that. I don't remember that. Here, let me go here. Thanks for the super, brother. How many assistant coaches who the Eagles have hired since 2000? Hired since 2000 that have gone on to become head coaches, have gone on to become NFL head coaches. Look at this list. I mean, bro, the names of these guys, I mean, this is not under Nick's watch. Sean McVay, I mean, look at this stuff. And all the guys that they have hired that have gone on. Ron Rivera, Super Bowl coach, McDermott, Harbaugh. It really is almost a factory in how they have developed assistant coaches. Just Andy Reid alone. Andy Reid, 1999 Eagles have 9 future head football coaches. Brad Childress, Sean McDermott, David Culley, who coached the Texans, Pat Shurmur, and Ron Rivera. They've been doing this for 25 years. They just haven't all of a sudden clicked their heels and snapped their fingers, and all of a sudden, this has been something new. This has been something that's happened the entire time that Lurie's owned the organization. They've done a nice job at hiring. All over the place with what? Now you're talking coaching tree. I'm not talking Nick Sirianni's coaching tree. I'm talking about the assistant coaches that the organization has hired. Oh, bro, how long? How much? How long? How much? I'll tell you all you need to know. Very simple. Again, like Bob, these people in here will look at this and go, they've had 11 coordinators since 2000. 11. And that practice has been going on for 25 years. And all of a sudden, you think that's some sort of like new thing in Philly that they've been hiring new assistant coaches every other year. Every third year, they hire a new guy. Like Jalen Hurts will never get this. Jalen Hurts will never have an offensive coordinator in Philadelphia for more than 2 years. Ever. As long as he's the starting quarterback in Philadelphia, he will never have a coordinator for more than 2 years. He will never have that consistency. So when he complains about that, remember, it's because why? The Eagles do a nice job at hiring assistants, or if the guy's not working, they'll fire him. Let me ask you this. Let me say this to you. Let me ask you this. If Kevin Petula fails, do you think they'll bring him back? If Kevin Petula doesn't win a Super Bowl and that offensive passing game doesn't improve and they don't win, do you believe they'll bring him back as the OC next year? I don't. Why would you believe that? They don't do that. You either get elevated or you get fired in Philly. Now, that's a standard. That's a standard. I would ask you this question. Okay? I would ask you this. You know, who did more for the Eagle offense last year? Howie or Kellen? Who do you think? Okay? Howie or Kellen? Howie or Kellen? What do you think? All they added was Barkley, right? Let's see here. Still waiting for the money. Nothing on the money yet, right? I think this is a really good hire. I'll say it again. I think Joe Douglas knows what he's doing when it comes to personnel evaluation, especially the college side. I think he does a nice job identifying. Hard to screw up the way Barkley played. Eagle, so Howie Roseman did more for the offense last year than Kellen Moore did. What's Kevin Patula going to do? Is he going to screw it up by trying to throw the ball? Probably not. Okay. My top 5 coaches. Waiting for my top 5 coaches. Reed. McVay. McVay's a play caller. He has a job. Reed's a play caller. Then after that, I go with guys who hired their own coaches. I would go Harbaugh in Baltimore. He hires his own coaches. I do like Todd Bowles, but he's not a top 5 guy. I'm not putting Shanahan in there because I think Shanahan bites the bit in big games. And his play calling, I think the guy nuts up in play calling. I'm not a fan of Kyle Shanahan. Every single time he gets in a position where he has the opportunity to win, I think that guy, again, I think he fails. Okay? I think he fails because he tries to overcook it. I really like that DeMeco Ryans down in Houston. He picks his coaching staff. I've heard Nick Caserio say that we really don't have anything in the hirings. You know, I'd like to put Tomlin in there, but Mike hasn't won in the postseason, man. I want to put him there because that's the kind of coach I want to play for. But bro, can you imagine if Nick Sirianni hadn't won a playoff game in 10 years and the standard had been, 9-8? The standard in Philadelphia, can you believe that thing has changed that much? Bro, like I said, okay, Sean, what's his job? And again, it sounds so rude to say that, but what do you think his biggest asset is on game day? And I'm not deviating off this. You can like him all you want. You can want to measure head coach all you want. No problem. Okay? I don't think Dan Campbell. I think he's okay. I'm not building my team with Dan Campbell. Like, if I'm hiring a head coach, Dan Campbell ain't it. But I don't mind him. Matt LaFleur is a good play caller. By the way, the one thing that I do like, what they do in Green Bay, they develop quarterbacks. 97% of the snaps that have been taken in the last 38 years have been taken by 3 quarterbacks. I don't know. I don't know. If I were you, I wouldn't compare Nick Sirianni to Dan Campbell. I know this. He makes more money than Hurts. Sills, Joe D back is a big hire. I think it is too. You know, one thing you're looking at, get this. What do you think has been more detrimental this year to the Eagles? Losing their talent scouts or losing their assistant coaches? Or one assistant coach, Kellen Moore? What do you think hurts more? The talent evaluation or a coach? Campbell reminds me a little bit of Bill Cowher. Again, you got to remember something about the Pittsburgh coaches. They hired their own people. That's why there's only been 3 coaches since 1969. Get this. Nick doesn't hire the OCs. To me, no. I think the great coaches, I mean, if you are hiring your guys and you feel empowered, you know why Nick gets involved with some of these coaches on game day? Because he didn't hire them. If you hire somebody like Xander, hires me to do a job, he didn't interfere. That's great leadership. Go do your job. Then we'll talk about if anything goes sideways. There's a difference in approach. But if you don't hire somebody, you're going to feel compelled to add something to that particular show or offensive game planning. Okay? And for the record, I must have missed it. You know, where did anybody ever say that Nick was a great coordinator anywhere? I must have missed that Super Bowl that he coached as an offensive coordinator. I must have missed it. I mean, are you trying to tell me that he was a good coordinator? Where? Indy? You had Phillip Rivers there. Every year that Phillip Rivers had his best year, Frank Reich was with him in San Diego and in Indianapolis. And Nick worked for Frank. Wasn't vice versa. I'd rather have Nick. I think Nick's got more of a toughness to him than Mike McDaniel. I think Mike McDaniel's the guy down in Miami. I think he's a really good designer of plays. And he would be my offensive. He looks like a great OC. But as a head coach, that team just doesn't come off as it's being physical. I think that, again, when I look at the Miami Dolphins, they come off as a phony Rolex or a cheap Gucci bag. Like, I don't see it. Nick's better than Sean McDermott, I think what you're saying with Josh Allen. Love your narratives. Dodd, thank you. I would say this to you. I think that Sean McDermott is the wrong coach for Josh Allen. That's a great take, actually, by you. I think Nick would be good with Josh Allen. They get a coordinator in the building and let Josh be Josh. I think McDermott gets in the way. They totally underachieved in Buffalo. And I think they deal, and they're shitty with the salary cap. They still got to cut players. And they're lucky you know what? There is some mirage with the Bills. And there is some fool's gold because of that schedule in the AFC East they play in. That AFC East is a joke. Dolphins, Jets, Patriots. Patriots might be better. But how much? 7 wins? Jets what? Who's the quarterback? Justin Fields? 6 wins. The Patriots maybe, with all the additions and all the money they spent. and some of the good drafting they did. I mean, look, like I said, and I'll say it again, I think the guy in Philly's getting better. I do. I think he's getting better. Is he growing into it? Yeah. To me, you're talking more about the potential of what he looks like as a coach. Silsey's got a Super Bowl behind his name. I get it. There's no doubt. But if you're asking me, if there's coaches in the league that I'm building my football team, he ain't it. If I had to build a coaching staff, I'm not picking that guy to build my coaching staff. I'm picking the owner and the general manager because they've done a great job for 25 years hiring. Look at their resume. Look, their resume is more impressive with the amount of coaches and the assistants that they've hired than Knicks is. By the way, in charge of what? I'm just pointing out to you that your ownership and your general manager have done a great job at building a culture for 25 years. What are you moaning about? Jesus Christ. Some of you guys in here get butthurt over anything if someone points something out to you. How long, how much? It matters because it tells you what they think of you. We've had Butch on the show. We get him again. Okay? Look at this. How many people in here believe this? How many people believe that this guy here puts together the best coaching staff every year? Even though when he first got hired, he said he had to introduce himself to 80% of the people in the building. And after 23, how many people think Kellen Moore was hired by Nick when they wanted to fire him after the Tampa game? And they wanted to kick his ass after 2-2 start. How many people believe this? How many people believe that? After the 23 failure and the 2-2 start, that this guy was given permission to build a coaching staff. Like he hired Vic. This guy doesn't know what he's talking about. It just doesn't know what he's talking about. No. This is what you do. And I showed you. What you do is you get a list of about 10 guys. And you tell Nick to pick someone out that you like. Nick gives his opinion. Owner and the GM make the call. Rico, thank you, brother, for coming aboard. Please hit the like button. Okay? I do think he's getting better. I absolutely do. Again, before I get Xander up here, hopefully we're going to be able to get our friend Gary Cobb. He's at Mike Quick's he's at Mike Quick's golf tournament today. Let me just double check here. Cuz I want to double check before we get Xander up here. Yeah, no money yet. Excuse me, I have to talk to John Morgan. Thank you. All right. I do think he's gotten better. So, again, the press release, I already know this, that they were going to give him an extension. All right. Without further ado, guys, great stuff, as always, when you go to Birds 365. And I got to start the program off by giving congratulations. We got a new Krause. He is, or she It's a she. Great. Big Sills, the proud dad of a daughter. Xander, how about Xander pulling some time this weekend to make it all happen? So we got a new Krause in the building. We got a new potential media star in about 20 years coming up here. Without further ado, the co-host of Birds 365, my boy, Big Z, Xander Krause. How you doing, brother?
What's up, Big Sills? How you doing, brother?
How you doing, man? Congratulations to you, dude.
Thank you, man. Yeah, what a beautiful weekend. It's a beautiful thing, man. When somebody has a child, really brings you close to it, and it's your brother too. So amazing weekend all around in the Krause house. The first new Krause. So my sister has a few kids, but she's not a Krause anymore. So the first new Krause is in the building, and she's absolutely beautiful. So God bless my brother and his beautiful wife, Julia.
Uncle Xander?
I've been an uncle now for a little bit. My oldest nephew is 5, almost 5 now. He's 4.5. So I've been in one a little bit, but it is a little different when it's my brother because I'm real close with my brother.
There's reports coming out, 5 years, $15 million a year.
Wow, that's cheap. That can't be true.
I don't buy that either. He's got to be in that 16 to 17 room. I don't believe he's going to be up.
Where are we seeing 515? If that's true, I don't
buy that. But wait a minute now. Is it more important about the commitment of years?
Yeah.
Than it is the number. Wouldn't you say this, Xander? First, wait. Let me stop by doing this. Give me your takeaway on the release and them extending Nick before we get into like years and number.
Well, I think it's a great move. I think it's I don't think you're right at all. All right, I'll start there. I think Big Sills off. I think it's the right move. I think Nick Sirianni, as the owner stated it eloquently today,
wait a minute,
he's done everything we wanted.
Hey, wrong about what? I never said he wouldn't be extended.
Well, no, I just don't like your take that he's not that great.
Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
But no, the owner said, he's done everything that we wanted him to do from when we hired him. So he's done everything. He's won. He's got the success. He's got everything. So, I understand that he's not viewed the same as other coaches, but I don't know what more he could do in his role to earn more than he's done. So I think he's done everything for this team. 2 Super Bowl appearances, 1 Super Bowl, 2 NFC East, 2 NFC championships. Nick Sirianni's done a hell of a job so far. So I'm pretty happy to see him get extended. I think he deserved it when you watch guys like, again, and we'll joke and we'll go back and forth, I'm sure, as we always do, Sills, today and tomorrow and the rest of the week about where he is and all these different things. But, Liam Cohen's getting $14 million a year. All right. So, let's just start with Nick is more deserving of a pay raise than anybody in the league when it comes to where he was. Now, if you want to argue with me 15 over 20 or, is he better than Tomlin? That's a different conversation. But Nick has earned the pay raise. He's earned the contract extension. And now I'll say this as well. You asked for my takeaways. My takeaways are also this. This is an interesting organization where how do you keep this job now? All right, because it's one thing to succeed on your first contract, making $7 million a year. It's a whole nother ball game to succeed in an organization that's now been successful with the last 2 head coaches, that believes that their setup is conducive for a successful environment, regardless of who the head coach is. How do you succeed under those circumstances with that pressure now of making Sills $18, $20 million, right? So I think Sirianni, in a way, while this is all great and he's like, boy, I did it, I got the deal, he's got to continue to win or else I don't know how long his dispensation card will be either. Remember, they did fire Doug Peterson 3 years after winning their first Super Bowl in franchise history. All right. So it tells you kind of what the organization thinks. But as far as I'm concerned, Nick did earn every penny he's getting here.
So you don't think he's a product of the environment that organization has set up, especially when you look at 11 different coordinators that have been hired and fired since 2020, and that's not even counting position coaches and how they see themselves. Because if you read that press release is more about glazing over the type of environment that they've created. Yeah. Just if you read it that way, how is he not? And again, maybe he's done this. And for the record, I said here that I do think he's growing more into it, but I think he's a product of that environment. I don't think he created one bit of that environment. And what I mean by that also is this. I think he knows how to navigate around that environment better than any coach, and that includes Andy Reid. That includes Doug Peterson. And I think that there is a talent to that because, Xander, let's face it, do you think he really has ever gone to bat for a position coach? Ever? If they've ever been in question of whether or not,
really seem like it, no. I wouldn't say it seemed like it, but there's one thing, Sills, that I picked up on the release that I think maybe you might have missed, and it kind of goes with the point that you're making, right? The first words that Lurie said, or the start of the second paragraph, Nick has embodied everything we were looking for in a head coach since we hired him 4 years ago. Now, we can all agree the Eagles team is looking for a different type of head coach than the Pittsburgh Steelers, the LA Rams, or the Kansas City Chiefs. So, you look at Nick, and in his sandbox of this team, he has done everything that I think truly that they would want him to do. Now, can you look more objectively like you are and say, well, he doesn't really do what all these other coaches do? What does he do? Why is he earning the money? I think that those are fair comments, but again, he's succeeded in this organization the way this organization wants him to, and I think that's really what this is about with him.
I like this, and I'll tell you something else. Do you not feel the coach and the quarterback have a lot in common with the way the organization sees them? And I mean by this, I look at 2905 or 2903 and 18 touchdowns differently than the Philadelphia Eagles do. Yet the Philadelphia Eagles look at him and say, is this guy not a perfect quarterback for what we're doing here? Is Nick not the perfect guy on what you're diagramming here? Is he not the perfect guy on what we want? Because I think that's right. I think there's a lot to be said about that. That's Sills. We're not asking him to go pick assistant coaches. We're not asking him to be involved in player personnel. How many times in a press conference can Nick Sirianni say how he does a great job at finding all the talent, how he does a great job with his guys evaluating? He's basically telling you he has some impact on what players are looking at, but the input is all he has. Final decision-making comes down to Howie.
Well, I think that's honestly.
You know what, though?
Yeah.
But wait. That's what they want.
Right. That's not a knock on Nick. That's just the nature of the Eagles. Right. Exactly.
That's what they want.
100%. Yeah, I agree with that. I think Nick is doing that, within this. And again, you could, I think he deserves credit for that, Sills. Like, I understand where you come from, where you're like, I want to see a different coach. You've been around Hall of Fame coaches, and I understand what you're saying when you're like, he just doesn't impress me. But I do think, given the environment, Nick did assess. It took him a second to learn, and he just said, all right, if my man, let's just look at this from Nick's personal perspective for a second. All right, take the Eagles out of it for a second. If you're Nick Sirianni, the person, all right, and you get hired, and the coach, the guy who's signing your checks, gives you a path, all right, to make a 5-year extension worth 100 or whatever the extension is today, you're going to do whatever it takes to reach that extension, not what Dan Sileo wants you to do because that's what, defines a successful NFL coach. You know what I'm saying by that? Like, the Eagles set this up for him to do it this way. He decided, forget the rest. I'm going to do it this way because I can have success in that. And that's what he did, and he's getting rewarded for it.
Look at that. He fits the
master plan. I agree.
He's not the architect of this thing, right?
I think he even might admit, maybe wouldn't do it publicly, but I do think behind closed doors, he would probably admit he's not the architect either. They don't let him be. They don't let him be. They don't want him to be.
Do you think that this extension not only comes off the heels of the Super Bowl, but it's also a reward for navigating through 23?
Absolutely. I will. And here's another thing. It's a good point that you bring this up. And I do think it's a reward for that. But I do want to remind everybody as well where, I did a segment on the reaction to this with John McMullen a little earlier today. And he brought up this of just a year ago, fans were calling for his job when he was 2-2 coming off the collapse. And I'm like, I thought about that after, and I'm like, that's kind of a BS narrative. Nick Sirianni had a meeting with the owner. This is after, but wait a second. This is after He appeared in a Super Bowl already in 3 years as a head coach.
Right.
He had to go to a meeting with the owner and have a discussion about what his plans look like to salvage his job. So, again, it's great. Nick has accomplished a lot. But my question coming off of this contract is, what does it have to look like continuously, year after year, for Nick to maintain this job? Because, again, as you just point out, a freaking year ago, this guy was on the hot seat before the year, coming off the collapse.
Freaking great take by you. Because now you gave me a topic just now, Xander, and here it is. Can those wins change again that quickly in their eyes, even after a Super Bowl win? Do you think that could change in their eyes where, say they don't get to the Super Bowl, Kevin Petula doesn't do the job that is expected of him, they're going to fire his ass. And then the head coach is going to be back to square one. Now, then you turn around and say this too, Z, right? Well, that's the standard we set now in Philly. You can't have the Mike Tomlin standard of just going 500, that there's now a standard that they have set in Philly where, guess what? If you're not in the NFC Championship game, or you're not in that room where you're one of the top 3 teams in the NFC, bets are off here now, man.
Yeah,
because
I agree.
That's where they are. That's where they expect to be, isn't it?
Yeah, and listen, I like the stability here because you're right about that, but I would wonder if the organization was going too far, if they were willing to move on from a Super Bowl head coach that quick because they believe their infrastructure is that good. Now, I'm not denying they have a great organization. I'm not denying Jeffrey Lurie has done a phenomenal job as an owner of this team. Howie's done great as a general. I think they've all done a really good job. But I would question as a fan, are we moving too quick if you're going to move Nick out that quick? And I think you're right, by the way. I think that is the setup. And if there was shaky waters, it would happen quick. Now, if this news of 5 years, $15 million a year is true, I mean, I'm sorry, everybody, but Sileo is correct because that would be the lowest. That would be right above Shanahan, right about what McVay's making.
Okay, well, if it's true, the 5 years impresses me.
Yeah, I don't know if it is 5 years or not. And I do think they line normally up the head coach and the GM. And then remember, GM Howie was due for an extension this summer too. Now they don't announce those publicly, so Howie's deal might be done.
GM's numbers are never out there. I mean,
but remember, last time Howie signed a deal, it was reported. It was 3 years, and he signed it 2 years into Sirianni's tenure because it was going to then line back up, or a year into Sirianni's tenure with Nick Sirianni's deal. So I'm wondering if it's another 3-year deal for both of them, if it's 5 years, because the other thing you got to remember here when you're thinking about head coaches in this organization, and specifically about this owner, is if I told you he would never want an Andy Reid type again, you would say, why? He already had an Andy Reid type. And I would say, remember Chip Kelly, because Chip Kelly is what broke Jeffrey Lurie.
Yes.
In terms of, I gave you the keys to my kingdom. Yes. And you burnt my kingdom to the ground.
Correct.
And because of that, I am scarred for life. And I can't blame him for that. All right. You're talking to a guy who hates to give up control of anything that I manage on a day-to-day basis. It's one of my deficiencies in life. But Jeffrey Lurie, I do wonder if, he's like, this is it. All right. I trust Howie. I don't want a head coach that wants to do everything. So if you talk to me about a guy like a Tomlin or a guy like McVay that wants to do so much, I might just say no because I don't want to go back down that road. I like the setup right now where I have more of my finger on the pulse of what's happening, and I think I think Nick is playing into that too. And I think that's part of this as well. I think he's comfortable being the coach they want him to be. He's not looking for more, Sills. In terms of, Doug walked into the office, man. Yo, I want this coach. I don't care I want this coach. I don't think Doug does that. Or excuse me, I don't think Nick does that.
No, he doesn't.
And that plays perfectly into what this organization wants. And hey, I love it because it's worked. This has been a really successful 4 years of Eagles football. So I'm enjoying this football. I got no complaints about Nick, about the owner, about the head, about the GM, none of it. But I do think he earned every dollar of this new extension.
So what if it is? I'm seeing multiple reports now of 15 million a year. You mean to
Yeah,
tell
I'm
me
wondering
you're
if that's
paying a
true.
guy? You mean to, and I don't believe it. Okay, you mean to tell me if some of those reports are true, you're paying him 1 million more than Liam Cohn?
Yeah, is that what Cohn's making? 13 or 14 million?
13 or 14 million.
This list I'm looking at here says Cohen is 12 million. I think Bob Brown sent me this list. I'm not sure if it's at Bob. I'm not sure where you got this, but Harbaugh is 12, O'Connell's 13, Ben Johnson, who's a rookie head coach, is 13. Kyle Shanahan 14, successful but loses in the Super Bowl, unlike Nick. McVay's the only other Super Bowl win. Well, McVay's won a Super Bowl. John Harbaugh's won a Super Bowl, but John Harbaugh's making 12 million. Tomlin won a Super Bowl. He's 16 million. Peyton won a Super Bowl. He's 18 million. And Andy won a Super Bowl. He's 20 million. So Nick would be down with McVay at 15 million. And I bet you McVay's due for a new deal soon too.
I'll bet you it's 15. With those numbers that you're saying, because he was making 6.5. They're not going to bump him up $14 million and make him the highest paid coach in the league. And why I said that was important, Xander, because as you know, Xander, that's how the organization sees him. Like, who do you think is the most important person in that building? The head coach, the GM, the assistants, the organization, and how they structure it? To me, again, look, 4 years, 15 million, being the head coach of the Eagles. Hey, you know what it comes with too? Look at your resume. At the end of the day, if you continue to win and you stay in the building, let's say Nick stays in the building 9 years and he adds another Super Bowl, you're fucking going to the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, I agree. And here's the other part too. Twiz says, what's this have to do with on-field success? And Twiz, I love you, brother, but this job is not just about on-field success, the head coach of the Eagles. If you can't see that, I think you do see that though, Twiz. I mean, you got to please a lot of different people and moving parts here. All right. This is not only about on-field success with this organization. It's not. At least I don't think it is.
I think it's weathering your ego.
Yeah, weathering that. It's managing the owner, the GM, all the different wants. By the way, the limited scope of responsibility, which some head coaches would not want.
But the limited scope of responsibilities also brings the most heat on you.
Yeah.
Because if you're not excelling like he is, that's why, Xander, I think he's in the firing squad. Dude, let's do this. If that team gets out to a 2-3 start, God forbid, and I don't believe it, but they get out to a 2-3 start, what do you think folks are going to say? What are you going to do? Jump on Kevin Patullo's ass because he's a scapegoat? No, you're going to look at the every other year when you're making all these decisions on assistant. Xander, do you think 11 coordinators since 2000 is a lot?
It feels like a lot, but 11 since 2000? Probably not, right?
No, I mean since 2020.
Since 2020, yeah, crazy.
11's a lot, right?
5 years? 5 years?
But look at the winning.
Yeah, the win. And listen,
that to me thinks that they think that it's them.
I know, but don't you also think that that's impressive for Nick, who just keeps winning despite who's at his coordinator?
Because he's navigating it.
He's navigating it, right? I mean, it goes both ways, and I think that's the subtle part of this deal.
I think you nailed this, and I'll tell you why you nailed it. Because I think you're right. Hey, dude, I'm a different coach than say what they want in Baltimore or Pittsburgh or Los Angeles. I'm not a play caller, so I have to have. Nick knows his role.
Yeah. I agree.
Doug didn't know his role, did he?
Well, no, Doug wanted more, like many coaches would, and Nick is and listen, I think Nick is the smart one here. Okay.
He is.
It reminds me, I hope you don't take this the wrong way, but it reminds me of what you always say about your wife, right? Where she's like, I keep saying I'm right, and your wife's like, yeah, well, congrats, DH, it cost you your job. Nick is more like, hey man, I might want to call plays, I might want to choose the players, but at the end of the day, I don't really care. I just want to get to my next contract extension, and that's what he did, right, Sileo? So listen, Nick does deserve credit because he manages it well, and the more important part, Sills, is are you translating this to on-field success? Are you winning football games, right? We're giving you a great roster. We're giving you a great organization, but are you doing with it what you can be doing with it? And the answer to that is by every count, yes, because he's winning games. He's won more games than anybody in the first 4 years outside of George Seifert, a name that you bring up often. He's been to 2 Super Bowls in 4 years. I don't know another coach who's done that, been to 2 in 4 years and won one. 2 NFC titles, 2 NFC East crowns. Like, I think within where it really matters is inside those white lines, he's also doing his part there. So I'm proud of Nick. I'm proud of Nick. He's a weirdo, but he's our weirdo, and I love him for it.
Let me ask you this. You think coaching records are overrated?
No, I don't think so. I mean, I don't think coaching records are. I mean, how else do you gauge?
Well, here's where I'm going. Well, according to people in here, 5th highest winning percentage. It means he's a better coach than Belichick, Chuck Noll.
Well, yeah, I think that will change. So I think this conversation will change in the next decade, let's say, because the Eagles love to be a forefront organization. And do you remember the conversation we had a couple of weeks ago about how these are way more than just like sports teams now, man? Like these are like billion-dollar corporations and all these different things. And you're kind of looking around and, 3 Eagles front office guys get poached this year. They bring back Joe Douglas to add to their already big front office.
I love that hire.
Me too. And I wonder how many teams are going to go the direction of the Eagles by looking at their success, looking at the amount of people they have working in their front office, looking at how they delegate, job, task and everybody that everybody has to do. And then I think maybe in the future, the conversation around this will change a little bit more. But I think, I do think coaching records still matter. I do. And you bring up George Seifert, and I find it hard to believe that he has a bad reputation in the NFL world because, for me, somebody that wasn't around for him, I look at his record and I'm like, I don't think any coach could have done this. I'm sorry. I don't care how good the roster was. I'm not one of those people that believes it's plug and play. Like, I believe there's a human element to things. And just because the Eagles have a great roster doesn't mean they would win with a different head coach. I think Nick has done the right things for this roster, for this city, just like I believe Seifert did some things right without even watching them. So I think it might change in the next decade, but I don't think they're overrated.
Well, I'll tell you this. I mean, the 49ers haven't won a Super Bowl since Seifert left. And in 8 years, counting the playoffs, he's 108 and 35. By the way, we'll get to your supers here in a minute. Do you now agree with me, though? And I brought this up a year ago, and people kind of fought me on this. Jalen Hurts, in all aspect, will never have a coordinator longer than 2 years, as long as he's a starting quarterback in Philadelphia, because since he's been the starter, the most he's ever had was Shane Steichen. Yeah. I mean, there's a precedent here that you're either going to be fired or you're going to be elevated.
Right.
I mean, that's just the way they work.
Yeah, so, I mean, you bring up a good point here. I mean, because, some would say 2 years, maybe 3 or 4, but it's like, you're right, because the Eagles have such high expectations where if you go Brian Johnson, who, again, I will say this until I'm blue in the face, and until I'm given information that proves his take otherwise, I will continue to say it. Brian Johnson, by all accounts, was a very successful coordinator in Philadelphia. He was a top 10 offense in Philadelphia. He was the number 8 rated offense in the NFL. They fired him and acted like we were 31st across the board. That's what it felt like when we fired Brian Johnson.
Yep.
All right. So think about those expectations that the organization has. And if you don't reach them, you're gone. And if you do great, even the way Kellen Moore did last year, where, we've talked about it. How impressive was it really for Kellen Moore? Well, boom, here he is with a head coaching job. So you might be right. That might be part of what this organization about, one of the downsides to this setup, despite all its success, is that you're going to have a revolving door. But the good news is Jalen Hurts has proven that he can handle it. All right. And Nick Sirianni's proven he can handle it. So you might be right, but will it eventually have a negative effect on the Eagles? I think we're yet to see that. So far, it hasn't yet.
How about this? If that team doesn't make it to the Final Four, okay, at least minimum the Final Four, they fire him, right?
Fire who?
Kevin Petullo.
Kevin Petullo? I think it would depend how it looked. The other thing is, while I do say that about Brian Johnson. Do you
agree if they didn't win the Super Bowl this last year and you had the 30th ranked passing attack and you had the number 1 ranked rushing attack and they didn't win the Super Bowl, Do you think Kellen Moore would have been back as the coordinator of that team?
I do, because then he probably wouldn't have gotten hired. And I don't think he would have fired him unless we lost to, like, let's say, like the Rams game, maybe, because that was the divisional round, right? So that would have been a couple, maybe, but I don't think so. I don't think Kellen would have been fired.
You don't think there'd be more heat on the lack of the passing game not being utilized if they didn't win?
Well, there would be more heat, but that's different than getting fired. I don't know if Kellen Moore would have been fired. I mean, you're going to fire a guy when a running back is, man, it's like, wait, no, because listen, you used to bring this up too about like Brian Johnson, and you're like, Brian Johnson got fired, and meanwhile, every guy on offense got a pay rise. It's like Saquon Barkley's marching across the stage as the offensive player of the year, and the offensive coordinator got fired? No way. So I don't think he would have gotten fired. I don't. But I will say,
who did more for the offense, Howie or Kellen last year?
I mean, the only thing they added was Saquon, really, right? And Mekhi Becton. Now, that's big. I know. I'm not downplaying that.
And who's the run coordinator again?
But here's the thing. I'll contradict myself, because I just told you, just because the team is filled with success doesn't mean any head coach would bring him to the promised land. He's the right coach for this team. So how can I say Howie did more just by putting the right player out there? But it does feel like Howie did more. You got the best O-line in football, and you got the best running back in football. Like, yeah, it worked.
Good, I'm with you.
But I don't know.
I think
I think it would matter still is how it ended, because on one hand, I did just tell you, hey, Brian Johnson was top 10, but remember how that thing ended. Like, remember what it looked like. It looked bad, man. It looked bad. So bad. Oh, it was awful. The whole end of the season was awful.
Didn't it end like this? Arizona, New York, and Tampa.
And Tampa was the playoff game. Yep, you flew into Tampa. Hurts had that awful fumble into the end zone where you had the safety. That was just a nightmare game, man. I think we lost 31-9 or something like that. And I remember saying that year, actually, I wasn't on the air at the time, but I remember saying to you and the other host that we had pre-show, just like, why is everybody blaming the defense? And I know they weren't great, but you're not beating any playoff team in the world with 9 points on offense. So, Brian Johnson's not above any criticism, but overall, I do think at the end of the day, the way it looks does matter, right? Especially.
Absolutely. Yeah. Hey, what do you make of these? I'll tell you now how I know you guys and the Eagles are getting under player skins and people in the division. So you got CeeDee Lamb and Micah Parsons barking at you guys, going, Guantanamo, what? Q, what, bang? And then you got Frankie Louvu going, hey, I want to ban the tush push.
Oh, wait, what did Louvu say? I didn't see that.
Yeah, Louvu said he wants the tush push banned. So now you got the Commanders and you got the Cowboy guys looking up at you, barking about you.
I'm wondering, Sills.
I love that, man. I think you guys got them on an island right now. And guess what? I think you're in their heads.
I agree. And I think Frankie Louvu, I'm going to go conspiracy theory Monday here. Frankie Louvu is a plant by the NFL. All right. Roger Goodell had him jump over the line of scrimmage 8 times on national TV in the conference final game so they could bring the tush push to a vote. And now he's out there crying on social media about the tush push. Frankie Louvu, shut up and get in the gym. I'll see you on the football field next year. Shut up, Frankie Louvu. I'm wondering if my boy was planted in here to get this play removed from the league. You got to be kidding me, Sileo.
I Frankie Louvu. I never thought of that, but hey, okay. I mean,
I remember he was the guy who jumped over, the line of scrimmage 5 times.
Yeah. Hey, Xander, make sure you keep an eye on this because I'm seeing $15 million annually, and if that's
I'll keep an eye on it.
Because if that's the case, they would be the lowest Super Bowl champion coach. Like I can remember.
If that's the case, I'm Nick Sirianni, I'm calling my agent. I'm saying you're fired. Checks in the mail for your 3%. I just halved it to 1.5.
If that's
goodbye,
bro. If that's the case, though, he did double his money, more so than anything.
Got to get more than 15 now.
I agree. If you guys, people in here, are going to tell me how great a coach and how great a resume
is, I said it on this segment. Find me another coach, especially in the modern game, that's been to 2 Super Bowls in 4 years and won one of them. All right, you'll be looking all day. Nick
tell you.
Sirianni's agent should have walked in there, slapped it on the table, Sileo, and said, slapped it down and said, "Hey, man, we're starting at 20." All right.
Yeah. Hey, I'm telling you, man, if that thing comes rolling in at 15/4, I'm going to completely go like this. They don't really think. They think a lot of them because that's a lot of money because you're talking about Tomlin, John Harbaugh money, Jim Harbaugh money. You're in that room. Those guys, okay? But they're not putting them in the Peyton room, and they're not going to put them in the Andy Reid room if that thing is down there at $15 million. I bet you it is 15. It comes in. I bet you it comes in at $15 million.
I'm trying to see when did McVay sign his extension?
He signed it. If you remember right, he was thinking of going into broadcast.
Yeah, I do remember that. Yep.
And Fox was offering him 20. And he decided at the very end to go, you know what? I'll come back. Because he's still the second youngest guy in the league.
So after their Super Bowl victory in 21-22, he was given a contract extension. So 22 season, that's 3 off seasons ago that he got that $15 million. And that contract runs through this upcoming season.
Now, again, he may go into broadcasting.
I know. That's what was talked about that he wanted to do. So
yeah,
for people saying, McVay couldn't get more, that was 3 years ago, man.
Yeah. 3 years ago, he was the highest paid guy.
Yeah.
Okay. Then Andy came out 24, and that's when they gave him the 20. So you give him
Nick Sirianni is the best sandbox player in the history of sandbox player. This kid got in his sandbox. He figured out what he was allowed to touch and what he wasn't, and he built the most beautiful sandcastle in all of sandcastle history. Given what this is what you're allowed to do, and this is what he accomplished within that. And the Eagles slap him with $15 million. Congrats to Nick Sirianni.
Could you see Nick doing this? Hey, Howie, Jeff. By the way, all supers will be read at the end. Can you see him doing this? I'll tell you what. You guys just put the number out there in the years. Just put it in front of me. I'm good. And wait. Remember something. Or do you think he has a small grudge that he had to go face the Wolf last year after that 2023, where they kind of remember what John said to you when you said that? I never forget what you said. You went like this to him. You sent John down to Tampa. Hey, John, do you think he's going to get fired? John went, no. After that game, John went, I don't know. That plane flight home might
shows you how it looks matters, Sileo.
Yeah, and he goes like this. He goes, hang on here now. Yeah, I don't know. And do you think him having to go face that he goes like this? I'll tell you what, I got a number in mind. Let's see where you guys are. Do you think there was hard negotiations here, what I'm getting at? Or do you think
I would imagine, but I mean, like I just told you, if I was his agent, I would have been in there swinging, swinging it around. Like, hey man, I'm starting at 20 million, but
are you going to swing in an organization that doesn't put a premium on coaches?
Well, maybe not. Maybe that's the art of finding the deal within the where do you find it within that? Within the framework of what works, because at the end of the day, do you want to be right or do you want to get the 4-year, 5-year, $15 million yield deal? That if you get fired, you're sitting on the beach in Cabo making 15 M's a year, That's what he went for.
So when does Hurts's contract extension come? He's now the 11th highest paid guy in the NFL at that position.
Hurts is going to get a massive deal soon. I would have to say next year probably. If they didn't do it this offseason, I'm thinking they probably won't do it this offseason. Now,
you think they're going to make him the highest paid player in the league?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. 100, without a shadow of a doubt. I don't even think it'll be close. I think they'll probably give him 62, 63 million a year, probably next year. And I'll say the same thing here in that I think he earned it. I know you might not agree with me on that, but I think given the framework of what he's been asked to do for this organization, he's accomplished everything more than any other quarterback has for us. So again, take my opinion, put it in a paper shredder, blend it up in a ninja. I don't really give a shit. The guy
You-
keeps winning and doing what he's asked to do. Give him the money, man. Dakota's making 60. He hasn't won shit.
I know.
Jalen Hurts has earned it.
I would say this to you. I mean, would you ever have paid Troy Aikman the highest paid quarterback in the NFL? He never was.
Oh, but it's a different game now, right? I mean, we've talked about that. It's a
It
different
is.
game.
It is.
Things are a lot more structured now. Like when there's tell me why Lamar Jackson's the 10th highest paid quarterback in the NFL. Is it because he's the 10th quarterback? No, but it's because that's how contracts work now. The next guy comes up and Brock Purdy makes $53 million. That's like, what? Trevor Lawrence makes $55 million. What?
That I don't get.
He's making the same money as Joe Burrow and Josh Allen. Like
I don't
know about that, but that's how it goes. So
eye ball test has to matter, doesn't it? Doesn't eyeball test has to matter?
My point on Jalen, it's like you think about the number and you're like, man, that's too much money. But is it? Because Jalen's at least doing the things to give us the parade on Broad Street. All right. Last I checked, in this February, I set my ass up on Broad Street and I watched 2 million Philadelphians walk by me with their hands in the air. I don't see that happening in Jacksonville or any other place. So we can sit here and bicker that we think quarterbacks make too much money. That's what they make. Jalen earned it, at least more so than the other dudes did. So I'm good with it. And I think he's earned it, and I think he's going to get it probably next year. Remember, that's a public-facing thing too, more so than the coach contract. So Lurie will make sure he's top of the market.
Tush push, last two here for you. You think it's gone this week?
Seems like it. The feeling in my gut is that it's gone because the NFL, seems to not want it. If you listen to Roger Goodell in interviews, seems like he doesn't want it anymore. Now, the interesting thing is Diana Rossini reported this morning that the language wasn't changed at all, and the language was kind of crappy. John and I have talked about that a lot on Birds 365. John's pointed it out. So if they don't alter that, maybe there's a chance it gets through for another year. But I think gut instinct, Sileo, I think the tush push is probably gone.
See, I think they're going to modify it.
When you say modify, though, like where
no
you
pushing, no pushing from behind. I don't think.
Yeah, but that is the tush push. What do you mean? That's the tush push. That's a nicer way of saying the tush push.
I don't think. How can you call this? And help me out here on this. How do you call a penalty on extra points and PATs when you call leverage plays? Like, you can't do this, Andrew. You can't use a guy and jump over to block a field goal because it's called a leverage play. Okay, using the assisting of another player
right
to help you. Okay, well, how does that not apply on the tush push then? Another player helping you move forward from behind with pushing him when you're using a player, an obstructive player, to move a pile forward. I think the pile is the issue. It's not the tush push.
See, I think this is Sills. I think that everybody listening right now to our show, and we love all you and appreciate all of you. Everybody listening to our show right now here on May 19th of the off season is what we call football purists. They're P1s. They're people who are in touch with the game, who love the game, who watch the game morning, noon, and night, every month of the year, every week of the year. They watch highlights. They watch ESPN films. They watch NFL films. They love the game. All right. The TV world and the common viewer, all right, which is not us, has taken over the game because that's where the money is. So you look at the tush push. You look at the TV networks, you turn on the NFC Championship game, and all the new viewers are like, what is this? Come on. There's been 8 flags in a row. What are we doing? And I think the NFL wants it out for that reason, because of those people. Should we cater to them? Probably not. But I got news for you. Businesses cater to money, everybody. That's what businesses do. And the NFL makes a lot of money from those streaming platforms and from the viewers. So if they feel like, and I think they feel this, if they feel like it's not good TV or it's hurting the game, the way the game is viewed to the common viewer or to whatever the case may be, they're going to get rid of it. And they're not really going to care what people like you or me who love football and is like, why are you taking the play out? Because nobody can stop it. That's stupid. They're like, I don't really care. We want better TV. And they're always going to bow to that master. And that makes sense.
That is a really good take because you're talking about the optics. And do you think they did this, Sander, do you think they went like this? They got a panel together of about 20 fringe fans, football fans, and they put them in a room and they go, and they're watching the play, because you know how these panels work. What you'll get is you'll get people going like this, man, I don't really like that play, this and that. You think that's how the NFL, because of what you're talking something like that, where you look at it and go, we did a subjective panel with it, and it just doesn't look like a really good football play.
Yeah.
And that's how they've come to that conclusion. I agree with you, because you can't throw injuries in it because you have no intel on that. And the only thing you can do is potentially throw the fear of CTE on the players out there, which is something you can't legislate. You don't know if it's causing that. So the only other thing would be
it's the new suit, right?
Yeah.
It's the new suit. The GMs used to be the suits. Now the GMs are all like football guys, and they have like scouts and everything around them. Like, these are the new suits, the TV guys who, and you're right. Here's the thing that sucks about it. It'd be one thing if there was data where it's like, all right, viewers check out or viewers don't want, their ratings are way up. So it is a subjective opinion where people are like, I don't think that looks good, and I don't think the viewer will like it, so I'm going to get rid of it. And it's probably the dudes who are sitting there, the nerd guys who are, at the end of the day, control the checkbooks. And listen, sometimes you got to bow to those people. So that might be what's happening. You might be right about that, brother.
How about this? I'll tell you, and I tell people this all the time. The biggest money play in the NFL has? It's the field goal. It's the field goal, an extra point. Why? Every time there's a field goal, an extra point, you go to commercial break.
Yeah.
I mean, if you
and
really,
you know what I say, Sills? You know what I say every time? When I'm watching a game with a family member or anybody, and people, say, "Oh, damn commercial." You know what I say? Hey, I love those commercials, because that's how me and you get paid, my friend, is those commercials. So I'm a commercial guy, baby.
That's why they'll never get rid of that. Let's read these supers. By the way, guys, please hit the like button. You guys have been great. I appreciate it. That's a great take on Sirianni navigating through the building and figuring it out, because you know what, Xander, of all, there's probably not another coach in the NFL that has the same job description as him. And he wins.
Yeah, I agree. Senor checking in. What's up, Senor? Hope you're doing good, brother. He says, how come on the open field a player can find you or can help you move forward from behind to gain the first down with zero complaints? Like, I think you're saying if you're like 8 yards up the field. Yeah, Senor, I think this rule would outlaw that too.
It would.
Yeah, because if they get rid of pushing.
I think that's the complaint here, Xander, is that the refs don't call the whistle until the ball is on the ground or the player's on the ground. Okay? I mean, I think they're going to stop the momentum of them even standing up. So I think there's going to be different language coming out of this. I do not believe – I don't think they could just outlaw the play. So I think they're going to modify the play.
Yeah, I agree, Sileo. We'll see what they end up doing. The meetings are tomorrow and Wednesday for those who don't know. So, yeah, we'll see. We'll see what ends up happening with it. Prince Swayze checking in. What's up, Prince? Hopefully, Prince, you have a better week this week. He said the NFL believes that the push is the only play they have taken from rugby. Wait until we unveil our new shit. LOL. Get him, Nick. Hold the L, Sills.
Again, it's a Monday. You start out with a massive L already, guys.
That's a tough one. Prince, let me tell you, you're not moving any. You didn't move the needle with that, my friend.
No,
I mean, normally, Prince, I give you credit when it's earned, but not there.
I mean, this guy's like trying to write a sonnet here. Give me a break, bro. You're not that smart.
Prince is a rugby connoisseur. That's what we'll call that. What are you, a rugby connoisseur now, Prince? Celia's daughter at least plays the game. Kimbo's checking in. What's up, Kimbo? Kimbo says, my husband from Poland. It's love there. They know tush push. Great TV. They are censor peeps. Well, they're rugby people, aren't they, over there in Poland? Yeah. They're rugby and soccer and all sorts of stuff. So that's not the Kimbo. I just told you they cater to the casual. They're catering to the American casual audience, not the people in Poland. All right. They're not. I love all respect to your husband, but they're not catering to him.
That's right. Hey, Kimbo, I'm glad that your Polak husband is over there. And I think that's awesome that they're catering, but I don't think it works like that, their sweetness.
Oh, man. Kyle Kokorski. What up, Kyle? Kyle's been red hot for like the better part of a month right now. This guy is red hot. Kyle says, Sills and Xander, I always enjoy watching the show before I go into work, which I work at a major food distributor. Oh, that's dope, bro. You already work at like a US Foods or something like that?
That's good.
I guess you don't want to give up where you work, but that's cool, bro. Thank you, man. Appreciate you.
If you ever want to send any sausages or anything, send them this way, Kyle. We're ready
there
to
you go. Sileo wants a food delivery. JD3 checking in. What's up, JD3? Nick Sirianni taking pay cuts to stay with Jalen Hurts. Gotta love it. Great take, JD3.
Absolutely. But that's it. I'm going to take a pay cut to stay with 18 touchdowns. There you go. Keep it going there.
Yeah, there you go. Yo, JD3, that's the winner of the day. JD3 again says, Nick should have got 20 just for being the only coach with a play so good they wanted to award us points in a playoff game. Another one. Remember, they almost said, if you get another flag, we'll award them a touchdown, which was the weirdest thing ever.
JD, I've never actually seen somebody say that, let alone do that we're going to give you points for that play. Frankie Louvu now saying outlaw it, man.
Frankie
you
Louvu
guys are in the head.
I think he was planted by the NFL. That's why he jumped over the offensive line 5 times. Devin Shanahan. What's up, Devin? Congrats to Nick for being the most expensive cheerleader in the world.
Hey, there you go.
What is that, a super chat? Is that Celia's burner over there?
Yeah, that's it. Way to go. Hey, Devin.
Devin, come on, Devin.
There you go, Dev. Way to go.
We had a parade on Broad Street a couple months ago because of this guy. And Devin's calling him a cheerleader. Oh, Devin. That's some bullshit.
Way to go, Dev. Way to go.
Come on, man.
Dev. I love
Chuck
it.
Hutton checking in. I think we might have gotten this one. No, we didn't. Chuck, thank you, brother. Appreciate it, man. Chuck says the commercial aspect of football is fascinating. Jake from State Farm is looking for new friends. Do the Chiefs consider Andy's contract based on money made outside of football?
No.
Ooh, let's see what he's saying here. But no, you're right. They don't factor that in.
No, they do not. I mean, they paid him for what they think his value is. Remember something, Chuck, here's the difference. Andy Reid brought in Brett Veach, the general manager, and he personally hired him after they got rid of John Dorsey. So when John Dorsey was there as the GM, Andy brought in Brett Veach and put him in that position. Nick Sirianni didn't hire Howie Roseman. There is a difference.
Yeah, you're right. Prince just bounced back, Sills, with a good one. Prince says, yo, Chuck, by the way, Chuck Hutton, thank you, sir. I appreciate that, man. $10 super chat from Chuck. Prince says, Sills, if you don't shut your field goal mouth, I'm calling Jake Elliott to kick it from 63 yards out. Shut up. I'm trying to be nice, fool. Hold the L.
Hey, Prince, we don't cover kickers here. They're not football players. Kickers aren't football players. L. Okay? I don't know who Jake Elliott is.
Oh, Prince. Yo, Prince, I'll give you a W for that. Sileo might be giving you an L, but I'm giving you a W.
L.
From 63 out. Jake Elliott through the uprights.
Hey, Nick, do me a favor. Okay? Make me a sandwich.
Oh, there you go. That's always a good way to shut somebody up. Eagles Talk says, I'm still not 100% convinced on Sirianni.
You know why? Big Dom could coach this team to the same record. Why do you got to put a bodyguard down there on the sidelines for him? Because
you see Big Dom? You see Big Dom, bro? He's chilling with like Ivanka Trump and all this stuff. He's like this dude's Hollywood, bro. Man.
Man, Ivanka looked good though, didn't she, man?
All right, man. Don't get me in trouble, man. Please, for the love of God.
Saying, how about here's Big Dom? Big Dom's like, I thought he was posing like for Playgirl or something. He's sitting here like this. Look, he's leaning against his name. Big Dom. I'm going like, this guy's like a movie star now.
Yeah, she is beautiful. There's no doubt, man.
Yeah,
no doubt about it.
Hey, here's Big Dom like this. Look.
Yeah, Big Dom is set. I love him, man.
Eli Ricks. You see that thing she left for Eli Ricks in his locker?
Yeah, I saw that. That
was pretty cool, funny. Man.
Yeah.
Oh, no. Wait a minute. Big Dom's a fan of Trump? Boy, I wonder how that goes over.
I could care less. Kimbo says, "What's up, Kimbo's?" I'm a fan too, so I don't care. I don't care. I don't care if somebody's not. It doesn't bother me. Again, I'm not self-righteous enough, Sileo, to believe that my opinions on the world are everybody's.
No,
Kimbo says it's on Polish TV. I can't get it here in Queens, but I could get in on Paul. They love it. They love it there. On call.
Hey, Kimbo, I heard that for you to get Polak TV, you got to get 2 cups, aim them in the right direction, and then stick them on the wall with strings.
Yeah, probably. You know, I got some Polish in me is what I'm told. I don't know if that's true or not, but that's what they tell me. Yeah,
Kimbo, I'm kidding you, man. That's all fun. Good.
Can't spell elite without an L.
That's right. Can't spell elite without an L, Nikki Sirianni.
Man, this must have been you
had a good
so this must have been a tough one for you, though. This must have been, you wake up and you see the great Nick Sirianni come down with a brand new shiny 5-year deal worth near $100 million.
Hey, he's paid the same money as Liam Neeson. Or wait, what's that guy's name? Liam Cohn. He's paid the same money as Liam Cohn.
Liam Cohn's making 12, and he's going to shit the bed in Jacksonville. But
absolutely. What, you think he's going to actually do anything there?
I don't know. I was watching I don't know. Do you think what's his name has the ability to transform that organization a little bit, Travis Hunter, or no?
No.
No, right?
No.
Here's the thing I'll point out with them, though. Remember, they did make the playoffs not that long ago.
No, they need a D coordinator in there. That is going to be somebody like Vic. Because, bro, you got too many good football players. Xander, how many years can you keep drafting in the top 5 or the top 10 and not be good? I mean, look at the Eagles. The Eagles pick between 25 and 32 every year, and they get the best roster in the NFC.
Yeah,
how can you be at the top of the AFC every year in draft picks? And you suck every year.
And you stink every year.
Every
you're right.
You're picking there, right? And the Eagles.
It'd be cool to see Travis Hunter be successful.
Yes.
I don't know if he will or not.
All right. Hey, Big Z. So what do you think the number's going to land on?
The streets are calling Frankie Louvu Frankie Doo-Doo.
South Philly's calling him Frankie Doo-Doo. I like it. What do you think the number's going to land on for Nick?
If it were me, if I were the owner now, I'm not the owner. I'm just the guy here on YouTube that you guys are listening to. But if it were me, it'd be 22 large.
22 large? Holy shit, for a guy who gets coffee and 3 donuts.
Oh, bullshit. Full of coffee and donuts.
This guy's
that Lombardi trophy raises itself.
Nick Sirianni could tell me the difference between jelly and non-jelly donuts. I'm going to go there. But if you're going to try
I think it's coming down at 17, 18. Yeah, right where Josh says 17.
18. You think he's going to be paid the same as Sean Payton?
Wait a second. You would take Sean Payton over Nick?
I think Sean Payton sucks too. I do. I think he sucks too. I'll tell you why.
Sean Payton guy.
Hey man, I am not. I mean, do you know he's got the same postseason record as Mike McCarthy?
Nick Sirianni got more postseason wins than all these dudes. He got 4 this season, for crying out loud.
Then why isn't he gonna? Then why isn't he gonna
respect on Nick's name?
Then why isn't he gonna make $22 million?
I don't know.
Why wouldn't he, by the way, one last one here for you. Why wouldn't the organization, if they're so proud of their guy, every other team puts out the number? Their response is, hey, in light of our success and how we've created everything here, because we're really great at what we do. And the type of dude we like is Nicky Boy. And Nicky Boy fits in perfectly with how we want our guy to act and how we want our guy to show leadership and how he is. He is a perfect guy for us. That's not a press release that I'm
Where
going.
Is Sue? Is Sue here? Sue, are you here? I think you might be right, Sue.
Listen to that press release. It sounded like, dude, you told us shit we already know. We knew you were going to extend him.
Are you
how many years and how much?
Are you jealous of Winiani?
Who?
Nicky Winiani?
Jealous. No,
This guy's a winner.
I just
This
want to
guy
know.
is a winner.
I bet you they gave that guy $15 million.
Dude,
And if they gave
He's
that guy
a
$15
man.
million, that's a slap in the face. Wait a minute.
Unfortunately, I would agree with you with that if it's 15.
If it's $15 million, do you agree right now, here, 432, May 19th, that if it's $15 million and it comes out 3 years extension, that's a shitty deal for 52 wins.
3 years? It's not 3 years.
Well, they would add it on to this. He'd have 4. You're going to go past 4 with Nick?
He's earned 5 years. He's earned close to what Andy. I don't think
5.
If you're telling me Sean Payton got 5 years, $90 million, and Andy Reid got 5 years, $104 million, I think Nick is due right in between those two.
Wait a minute. Hey, folks, listen to what.
No. You're conflating it. Wait a second. Let me finish.
What does
Same conversation with the quarterback? Is Trevor Lawrence as good as Joe Burrow? Why does he make as much then?
No.
I believe Nick is better than Peyton and more successful than Peyton. Only 4 years. So I would have given him right between. And that's not to say he's better than Andy Reid. It's just to say that's what coaches are making, and that's the value Nick has brought to this city.
You see, that's one word you were right on.
Wait a second, Sileo.
You said coaches. You said coaches. Sean Payton's a play caller. He has a job.
I was in the hospital this weekend for the birth of my niece. And, in the little gift shop in the hospital, as I'm walking through, there's Men's Health magazine with Jalen Hurts plastered on the front of it. Now, I think Jalen Hurts should thank Nick Sirianni for that a little bit, no? These guys have banded together and made a Super Bowl team 2 and 3 years. And the only thing you want to do is downplay.
I never hear Jalen say one positive thing about Siri. It's a Kevin Patullo, Kellen Moore.
Bullshit.
Every time he gets in a room to talk about Nick,
all this guy Nick does is win, and everybody tells me why he sucks. This guy keeps winning.
Oh, wait. I got to tell you one last thing before you go here. Hang on. I asked Angelo to come on today, and this is what he said. Hold on.
Oh, I can't wait to hear Angelo after this.
Hey.
Angelo's gonna make a record for the most wrong in one off season.
Wait, look at this. I can't do it today, Dan. I'm sorry, I've got the grandkids. Plus, I'm too depressed over the deal.
Sounds like a text from Angelo Cataldi right there, man.
Hey, he goes, I'm too depressed over the deal. Okay. Look at hey, Bob, it's coming in at 15. And if it comes in at 15, they kind of like Nick. If it's 15, you agree they kind of like him.
Yeah. Or this. They bullied him in the negotiations and won.
Why not? They did that to Dallas Goedert.
Yeah, I know. I'm aware. Nick, they got leverage.
Hey, Nick, you know what you can do? If you want, just like in Gladiator, you can go back to that shithole you can go from over in Indianapolis if you want and try to dig yourself out of that shithole, or you'll take the pay we're going to give you and like
This is where the Eagles this is where they got leverage because it's like,
all right,
Nick, where are you going, big dog? Where are you going? Where you're going to have a roster
Nick,
like this?
Do you think they play that game? Hey, Nick, where are you going?
Yes,
where
I
the
do.
GM and owner that does that kind of shit, that puts that money on the table like that, and then you do this. You know what? Quite frankly, have they ever really paid a coach in Philly? An Eagle? Have they ever paid a head football coach?
I mean, Andy here for a while.
Was Chip paid handsomely?
Chip was paid handsomely. Remember, he came from college.
He came from Oregon.
Yeah. No, I kind of with Yale though. I mean, like they really don't do business like that. Like they don't. Like that's not really their MO. It's not at any level.
Cowboys don't do that either.
So I kind of think that they're paying him, but I don't know. Listen, you might be right. You might not be. Here's something I can guarantee, that Nick Winiani will continue to win in the great city of brotherly love. And sometime in the next 24 months, Jacob, me, and even Big Sills will be sitting on Broad Street again as the great people of Philadelphia and Jacob Nation cheer on and chuck beers in the air and pop confetti and we're Super Bowl champs once again. All right, Sileo.
I'm going to tell you guys this. This conversation has given me agita. Okay, I need a nice thing of I need a nice thing of brioche here.
Yes.
Okay,
yes.
because this thing right here is giving me gas.
I got an Italian grandmother. The first time I said the word agita to my girlfriend, she looked at me and said, "What? I hope it a hobby whatty?" I'm like, "You don't know what agita is? You're giving me agita for not knowing that."
Xander, great stuff. We're gonna find out. Hey, do you think they'll release it? When's Howie's deal coming? Next?
I don't think they're gonna report it.
No, they won't throw that out.
Maybe somebody will get it though. Jeff McClain got the report today first, and he was the one who got the Howie deal a couple years ago. So maybe they'll get it, but I haven't heard anything yet.
I bet you what they do is they'll cut the deal and release it 2 months, 3 months from now and say we cut a deal a couple months ago with Howie Roseman.
They better start paying Howie Roseman like he's deserving. Like he's earned too, because that last deal, 3 years, I thought was low for him because I thought he'd done a great job. And listen, you don't want that guy to, listen, hear me out. And I'm not saying Howie has any inclination to leave, but an owner might look at us and be like, listen, man, I'll give you 1% of my team. All right. To come and be my GM. Now, I know that sounds unlikely, but would you do that to turn your franchise around? I would. Now, it depends what owner.
Like the Jets?
Exactly like the Jets.
And he covets that job.
Woody Johnson, dude, I'll give you 1% of my team, and you can fix all my football issues. I'm just saying, you don't want to. Howie is a guy who's earned his keep. Whether you like him or not, I do not care. He has earned his keep. Pay him.
I don't like everything he does, but I'll tell you what, most of the things he does, he's proven me wrong on something. I'll tell you this.
Yeah.
He showed me, can I tell you his biggest thing that he showed me this year? That he was willing to adapt. He'd never paid running backs, never paid linebackers. Yeah. He never drafted linebackers. He never did any of that shit. He completely changed the entire landscape. Now, again, you got to remember something, guys. If you're watching what we're seeing with this equity, these equity companies, franchises like San Francisco, do you see this? San Francisco is selling 6% at like, what was it? Like $1 billion or $850 million. Do you think an owner is going to want to give up 1%? That's $800 million worth of the wealth of that team for Howie Roseman. Right. That would be a tough putt for me to think that they would give up $850 million. Now, having a guy like Howie, though, does that elevate the valuation of your team?
Absolutely.
Look what a quarterback does for you. When you get a quarterback in the building, that elevates the value of your team.
Dude, the Eagles are certified right now. Like the Eagles are. This is what I think the Cowboys fans are really mad at, is that we now dominate the headlines and we win. It's one thing to stink and dominate the headlines and you get the offseason award every year. We're getting the offseason awards. We're getting the in-season awards. We're winning. Our quarterback is the most talked about, whether you like him or you don't. I think the Cowboys are like, holy crap.
No, you guys have substance.
Yeah, and we win.
We win. Cowboys are all fluff there. All right, Xander.
Yeah, see, I was going to say your number sounded crazy. 10%. 81 mil would be 1% if it was 8.1 billion.
Okay. All right. So
that's not like, let's just say Howie makes like 10 million. It's a lot of money, but it's not insane to say if you sold
over
the team,
10 years,
$81 million.
Over 10 years, you'd be paying him 8.1 million, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, you probably have to give him money. You got to give him a salary too, though. You can't just give him equity.
No,
because he can't deposit equity at the bank.
Let me ask you this. Okay. What do you think his number is going to be?
Howie's is a lot. I don't know. If I were an owner,
guy is Casario in Houston, he makes 6.5.
GMs are cheap, huh?
Make nothing.
Yeah, well, Howie deserves well more than that.
So this is why I think they have a problem coming in at 20 for Nick.
Maybe because they want to give Howie 10.
Right,
Howie deserves that. Let's be real. Howie Roseman deserves at least $10 million.
Oh, yeah.
Are you kidding me?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I would double.
Yeah, I think Howie deserves a lot. I think Howie's earned his keep.
I would double his number before I would double Nick's number. Don't you agree to that?
Yeah.
All right, Big Z. Should be interesting, man. Those numbers should come out over the next couple
yeah, we'll figure them out.
Days. Absolutely.
I'll see if John has them in the morning on Birds 365. Wait, I think we might have gotten one more super chat.
Gotcha.
We got a couple more. See, I love the great people, man.
Thank you, guys.
Add McDermott. Wrong coach for Josh. I've said that for years, Kimbo. So I agree with that for sure.
Yeah.
Jason,
I Jim Harbaugh. I think Jim Harbaugh would have been great up there.
Yeah. Yeah. Drew Brees carried Peyton. If Brees stayed in San Diego, he would have won Super Bowls with the talent they have between 2000. Agreed, 100% A-team. 100%.
And you want to hear something too, Jason? I think the Chargers would have stayed and got their stadium in San Diego instead of moving to L.A.
Yeah, it's crazy how one thing happens. Yep, I agree. One thing happens and it leads to a domino effect.
That's right.
Abe says, breaking, Nick changes his last name to Winiani.
Jesus Christ. You guys are so blown
Jason
away.
A-Team says, Winiani, how you doing? Xander on fire. Woo!
Winiani.
It's a good Monday, Sileo. It's a good Monday. The Eagle Kingdom will continue to reign. Yo, Diddy boy, Texas boy, Cowboy, Bernie, whatever. Mark Holmes. You guys are going to be watching the Eagles from down below for a long time.
Winiani. Yeah, that's all. Yeah, that's what. Hey, when I think of Don Shula and Chuck Noll, I think of Winiani.
Dude, I don't care what you think, man. This
hey,
just
that's what I see. When I see Andy Reid, I see him. It's like, what doesn't fit? Hey, what's it? Jim Harbaugh, Mike Tomlin, and Andy Reid, and Nick Sirianni. What name doesn't fit yet? You know that game you have to play? Take one out. The first guy out is Sirianni.
Guys with full careers, the 4-year Sirianni who's been to 2 bowls in 4 years and won one. Find me another coach who's done that.
George Seifert.
Great. 2 rings on his finger.
Yeah, they blew him out.
Yeah.
Because there was a standard.
And how'd that work out for that organization?
Oh, that's right. I forgot.
Oh, wait. Where's Hollywood Hogan? Where's our boy? Where's our 49er fan, Nad? Come on. What? Where have you guys been?
Xander doesn't want to hear they sold the team. They had to sell the team because Mr. DeBartolo got in trouble with some.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
We know guys who know guys down in New Orleans, so got it kind of a little fishy with the Kingfish.
That's right. I remember that.
Xander, great, bro. Keep that show up. Keep kicking ass like you guys are. Hey, one thing I'll say about Jeff Kerr, though, I don't want to talk about that. We don't. I love Jeff Kerr, man.
You know what the worst part about the morning? I'll tell you this. Yeah. If I took a topic from this show, which I think are great topics, and I brought it over there, them dudes would melt. They would. I'm like, all right. I'll go back to, what's the defense going to be this year?
What's this here? Nick's in charge of the Wi-Fi at Novacare. There you go, Hollywood.
Hogan, why don't you worry about your $60 million freaking trash can at quarterback?
Great.
Guys got a turkey leg for an arm, and you're worried about Nick Sirianni. Nick Winiani, too. Hey, Hogan, that's Winiani to you.
Sills, who are you rooting for? I'm assuming that's the Buccaneers. I'm assuming that's the Buccaneers game on September 20th.
It is.
It's in Tampa, and you got annihilated every time you've gone to Tampa.
Bullshit. We beat them in Tampa in 2023.
Oh, that's right. I forgot. Brady crushed you, and then Baker crushed you.
In the playoffs.
Brady didn't crush you?
Brady did.
Brady crushed you, and then Baker did crush you.
Yes.
In a playoff.
But Baker lost to us that year too. All right.
He
won the more important one. He won the playoff one.
You know what? I'm gonna have to let that hang there for a little bit. I don't know who I will take it out. I'm probably gonna take the Bucks in that game because you can't beat the Bucks.
I'm going to take
Baker Mayfield has outplayed that guy statistically big time.
I'm going to go ahead and take the coach who's won 72% of his football games since he's been a head coach. Thank you very much.
And he's 1-3. And he's 1-3.
How about the quarterback? That's
1-3.
Been a second-team All-Pro and a Super Bowl MVP.
He's 1-3 too. He's 1-3 too against the Bucks.
I'll take those guys. Yeah, you can have fun with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Abe, let me tell you this, Abe. 1-3 is not a stat; it's reality.
The Tampa Bay Succaneers. Hollywood says Purdy is 4th in passing since 22. Yeah, and what's that chicken wing gotten you, Hogan? Huh?
Think about that for a second. Hey, Hogs, you know what? Like I said, let's not compare Purdy to Jalen Hurts.
Wait. Hogan's on the Sileo-ized. He's got the Sileo-ized edibles.
Hogan, name me another quarterback since he's been the starter in the NFC that has been more comparable to success than him. Name me one. You can't.
Wait, my boy Devin is saying we missed the Super. Devin, we didn't miss your Super. We roasted it. He said, congrats to Nick being the most expensive cheerleader in the world. This is the second time I've read this stupid-ass comment, Devin, and you just bullied me into reading it twice. It's a stupid take. And you're Sileo-ized too, Devin. You're Sileo-ized too.
What is that, a flask?
I don't know what it is. It's just sitting up here. My Sileo edible is what it is.
Hey, so
put the Sileo edibles in here.
Hey, when are you going to start babysitting that kid of yours?
Oh, I got to get there. I just got a picture of her. They're doing great. I got to get up there soon. My brother's birthday is next week, so maybe I'll go up and see him and hang out with baby Kennedy.
Oh, is this big money? Is this big money Krause in New York?
Oh, dude, my brother is such a beast, bro. He goes into New York. All right. My brother's getting his PhD. All right. He's like a science nerd. All right. He's the smartest guy in the world, my brother. I talk about sports. My brother's science. He knows everything like the back of his hand. All right. Very smart guy. And he's like, you know what? I don't want to do this. I don't want to be a scientist. I'm gonna cold email 50 to 100 different venture capitalists in New York City, and I'm gonna get one of them to respond to me. And meanwhile, think about how many kids are dumping out of colleges right now, spending all their money on finance degrees trying to work for these people. He gets one response on an email, flies to New York City, gets a job. 2.5 years later, he starts a company. And just last week, a week before the birth of his first daughter, he closed on a $60 million fundraise round, the 3rd highest seed funding round ever in New York City history. That's my fucking brother. He's a boss, Big Cells.
That's right. Never end. By the way, I hadn't thought about this, Big Bob. You know, me and Z may have to get down there to the Morgan & Morgan box for that Buck game.
I will do our post-game show from there.
They do have a Morgan & Morgan box.
Yes. Oh, we got to do that.
Oh, wait. You know, we also have to ask Clancy if they have a Morgan & Morgan box at Lincoln Financial.
Oh, they probably do.
Hey, do you think we can broadcast out of there?
Maybe, but that's good. Broadcast out of there is going to be a tough thing because remember, there's going to be noise. People like to go there, get drunk, have fun. That's not really a broadcast environment.
Holy shit.
Wait a second. Yeah, so don't act like you're coming to Philly.
No. For Morgan & Morgan, I may have to.
This guy needs a 500% pay raise to step out of the apartment.
Wait a minute. I may have to, dog. By the way, John Morgan's on. John's on tomorrow. Oh, so, nice. Oh, yeah, Xander, always know this. You know, that show in Tampa. Yeah, no, John's only coming on this thing. Yeah, I save him only for the big gun.
Right. I got to run, all right?
Hey, make sure you tell your family congratulations from us. The Sileos, we're really, really excited for you and your family, man.
I appreciate it. You guys are great. Your Aunt Betty's just what a great woman she is. You guys are great people, obviously, and we love working with you. Now, let me just, one last thing before I go. All right. Yeah, we've been on long enough. One last thing. I think I might have won you over on Nick Sirianni today.
No.
Yeah, I think I did. I call that a W. That's a W like Sirianni, like Winniani, baby.
No. That'd be like saying, Sills, do you want a Baskin Robbins guy running your football team? No, not really. So when I look at Nick Sirianni, I think of a guy that's out front of Vegas, and he's out front of the Caesar's Palace. You can park your car over here for $20. That's what I look at him
You don't
for.
want the Baskin Robbins guy making your Dunkin'. You don't want that. All right.
No, I do not. Xander, great stuff, brother. I appreciate you. Thank you again, Big Z.
See you, boss. Appreciate everybody in the chat. Love all you guys. See you next time.
Yeah. Hopefully, we're still going to be able to get Gary Cobb. He's at a golf tournament. He's at the Mike Quick golf tournament today. Never happened, Junior. I think your coach is mediocre. Let's see this here. Sirianni, 54 wins, including playoffs, are second all-time in coach's first 4 years. He's only behind George Seifert. There you go. That's right. He's only behind George Seifert. Okay. That's who I compare him to. That's who I compare him to. Absolutely true. I used to win money at Caesars in Jersey. They still got a Caesars there. Do they still have a Caesars in Atlantic City? I love the Caesars in Vegas, but the place is not what it used to be back in the day. My place is MGM Grand. I love that. Oh wow, they don't have a Caesars any longer. That's crazy. Yeah, I used to go down. We used to go down to Atlantic City. Yeah, okay, still there, I think? Okay, good. Yeah, the one in Vegas is great. Poker or blackjack, Sills? Hey, I'm a video poker guy. Me and my wife, we lived in Vegas. And you got to get video poker with one deck. The guys told us in the building. Now, remember something. The machines are set at 63% failure rate inside the casinos on the Strip. You want to hear where you win? Hey, the next time you're in Vegas, spend very little money on a Strip in those casinos. They don't build those castles because they lose. You want to know do you guys know where you make the most money when you're in Vegas? Like the Piggly Wigglies. If you ever go into any of those like 7-Eleven stores, every seat is taken because it's set at 56%. So if you go in there, there's pretty much a little less than 50% chance you're going to win. You win more money in those places than you do on the casino because they set them. You can't get a chair. Like if you roll into a Piggly Wiggly, it's like a Wawa. There's no chairs. I mean, Fremont, it's not that bad too, M. Reyes. Okay, they're pretty low set too. But when we lived in Vegas, I started my broadcasting career, believe it or not, in Vegas. After I got done playing with the Arena League, and so we started doing a lot of like remotes at the casinos. And the guy told me, all the guys said, well, listen, if you want to really make a lot of money, you go down to Fremont Street, like you said, and I hear they've really done a nice job down there. But when me and my wife lived in Vegas, they were tearing it all up. Hey, M. Reyes, you remember like during the time, and I did television. I was doing Good Morning Las Vegas for Channel 10. And I was the morning television guy. I worked there in TV and I worked at KGO in San Francisco on TV. I anchored. And I was an anchor, a sports anchor. I didn't like it after a while because you just only got 2 minutes. And back in the day, we lived there, me and my wife. You had the Flamingo, you had the Dunes, you had the Stardust. You had a whole bunch, and they were knocking them down all at the same time. Like 1 week they knocked the Dunes down, another week they knocked down another one. And that the Vegas you see now is when we lived there. This was like 98 when me and my wife lived there, like 98, 99, something like that. And they started knocking old Vegas down. And yeah, I mean, you know, that's when they were filming like Casino. And my wife was working at a restaurant and Robert De Niro and Joe Pesci walk in. So like, Yeah, hey, that's about right when I'm saying that, Jalen. They started knocking those old casinos down like around 98, 99, 2000. And, the strip is completely different now. Like New York, the only big casino that was really on the strip towards the airport, and the Raiders place wasn't there yet, was the MGM. And they had Luxor, I believe the Mirage. To the left, they had Flamingo. That was still one of the old places that was still there. Hey, yeah. Oh, they were making the Sphere. And by the way, don't you remember, Yale, or all you guys? We had the mayor of Vegas on, Carolyn Goodman. And Carolyn Goodman is a dear friend of ours because the husband, he's the attorney in that movie Casino. And he used to be the mayor of Las Vegas. And Jerry Tarkanian was a friend of ours. And he introduced me to all these people. So Carolyn Goodman has been on this program. And Carolyn is now the mayor. And she's the one that's responsible for bringing all these pro sports teams to Vegas. So you're gonna see even more teams going to Vegas pretty soon. Okay? I mean, Carolyn Goodman was dude, one of the greatest events that you could ever go to was a Jerry Tarkanian UNLV game. I mean, Thomas and Mack Arena was absolutely packed. I saw when we lived in Vegas, my wife and I had gone to so many boxing matches. We went to Tyson fights. I've taken my daughter, believe it or not, to Mayweather fights. I've taken her to Canelo Alvarez fights. Randall Cunningham. Yeah, I told the story before. When I was working in Vegas, the head coach named Harvey Hyde. And I used to do radio with a guy by the name of Ron Fortrell. And Ron gave me a job as the morning television anchor on Channel 10, KTNV, Channel 10. I think it was an ABC affiliate. And I'm the guy I used to produce for him. I did the 6 and 11 o'clock. I produced it. I put all the tape on, the chyrons in, and all that stuff. I did all that. And Ron Fortrell follows me on my Facebook, and we're friends to this day. And he gave me a great start in my television career. And he introduced me to Harvey Hyde. Well, Suge Knight and Randall Cunningham played for him. Suge was a really good football player. And I had crossed paths with Suge when he played for the Rams, but I don't think he had anything to do with Death Row yet. But when Harvey and I were there in the early 2000s, he was still doing security, if I'm not mistaken, before he got into Death Row. And he would show up, and the guy that named him Suge was Harvey Hyde, his coach. He actually called him Sugar Bear, but they dropped the bear, and they just named him Suge. That's how they got the nickname Suge Knight. Harvey Hyde gave him that. His former UNLV running Rebel head coach. And I think he was an all-Mountain West football player. He was pretty good, man. Okay, he was pretty good. He was a pretty good football player. Larry Johnson is one of the nicest guys I ever met. I knew that whole group. Stacey Augman, Anderson Hunt. You know what's funny? Hollywood. Here's a great Miami Hurricane story. So I've got who's the CBS guy that was the point guard on that team, played in the NBA too. I can't think of his name. And Tarkanian introduces me to Anderson Hunt. So all these Vegas guys. Thank you, Sue. I appreciate that. If I repeat myself, it means I'm getting too old. And all the Vegas guys, he had Larry Johnson and all these guys. And I was like, I had a Hurricane hat on. And Larry Johnson goes, man, we really loved you guys. We just loved you guys. I said, we loved you. And the Vegas guys goes, no, man, you guys were trendsetters. I said, no, you guys were. And the same thing with the Michigan Fab Five. I got a chance to talk with those dudes. What was his name? And I've talked to Chris Webber about this. Oh, I know who we talked to too. We talked to Steve Fisher. Steve Fisher said all the guys were Hurricane stuff. And we were like, oh my God, because we love the Fab Five guys. We thought they were somebody, just Jalen Rose was he loved Miami Hurricane stuff. And we wore Fab Five. We wore UNLV stuff. And those Vegas guys were like, man, you guys, Jimmy King, thank you very much, Yepa. That's who it was. I became friends with Jimmy King. Yeah, because Steve Fisher coached at Michigan. It was great. And those guys saw us, and we were like, oh, we love you. No. And so we had a great I became really good friends with those guys. Yeah. Hey, Steve Wynn was a great dude, man. An absolutely super guy. Every single event we ever did, like at the Mirage, he would always come down, and he would sit there and talk with us. Always accessible. That was back when Vegas was not like it is today. He was always very accessible. You'd see him walking around down in the pit all the time down where the gambling was. All right. In my opinion, Eagles will have to have 2025 as a signature year for them. Dude, I got so many topics still here, man, going into the final hour. Hey, by the way, I hope we're still going to catch up with Gary Cobb. If not, we'll get his butt tomorrow. Will 25 determine this one player's future? We're going to do that. Do me a favor, guys. Please hit the like button. Our great friends at Morgan & Morgan. Oh, by the way, John Morgan will be on with us tomorrow. That will be at around 4:30, I believe. That'll be tomorrow. And we'll have John on talking some sports with us. Like I said, with nearly $30 billion recovered. Morgan & Morgan has a track record that's second to none. They are the #1 injury law firm in America for a reason. Told you about the family in Pennsylvania that was initially offered $650K. They ended up getting $30 million in recovery. Like the family down in Florida as well. $350K? No way. They ended up getting $12 million back in recovery because that's who Morgan & Morgan is. By the way, they're #1 because they win. And if you want to win, call them. forthepeople.com/big sales or pound law 529. That's forthepeople.com/big sales or pound law 529. And do me a favor, you tell them Big Sales sent you.
This is Eric. When he got injured in a car accident, he called Morgan & Morgan. He not only gets a lawyer, he gets trial lawyers like Sam and Jessica who are in it to win it. He gets his own investigators with briefcases, leather ones. And if you ever have questions, our customer service folks keep things rolling. Injured? We're your army. Morgan & Morgan, America's largest injury law firm.
Your financial future is on the line. Are you ready for what's next? At Leone & Company Wealth Management, we help young professionals, business owners, and pre-retirees navigate the complexities of building and protecting wealth. For young professionals, we'll help you grow your wealth, plan for your future, and make the most of your hard-earned dollars. For business owners, we provide strategies to protect your company, manage risks, and create a lasting legacy for both your business and personal wealth. For pre-retirees, we'll design a plan to secure your retirement, ensuring you can live comfortably and confidently in your next chapter. Whether you're just starting out, managing a thriving business, or preparing for retirement, we're here to help you take control of your financial future. The first consultation is on us. Get the advice you need without the cost. Let's make your financial vision a reality. Take the next step. Scan the QR code to schedule your free consultation today. And of course, go Birds.
field of life, First Trust Bank is there for you.
Champions on 3. 1, 2, 3.
Because Philadelphia dreams deserve a Philadelphia bank.
In our hometown, we all look out for each other. We step up to keep our communities going strong. And at Independence Blue Cross, we're here to keep you going strong as the #1 health insurer in the region. No IBX is always looking out for you.
EAGLES. Eagles.
Big Show's National Football Show. I'll tell you this, WNBA is a joke. You have me now. Don't lose me. You have me now. You know, race was never, ever a conversation with the WNBA for 29 years until one white chick showed up. Think about that. Race was never an issue. One white chick shows up. That's all you hear lately. It's race with WNBA. And so the WNBA doesn't want to be covered like a mainstream sport. They want to be covered like an old school chick sport where everybody's got to watch their P's and Q's. It's stupid. You want to be covered like a mainstream sport? Are you trying to tell me you don't think there's shit being talked in every single stadium there is across the country? When somebody may have said something and you're so sensitive that you think somebody said something to Angel Reese. Hey, welcome to pro sports. Male athletes get that shit all the time. You want to be covered like a mainstream sport? Act like a mainstream sport. The powers to be at the WNBA, they couldn't govern a high school. You got a gold mine right now between Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark. Did you see that thing with Caitlin Clark? By the way, I'm talking WNBA. Are you crazy? First team in WNBA history to have 1 million followers now on their Facebook. It's significant. You have an audience. People want to buy your product. Welcome to the sports world. Well, when it comes welcoming you to the sports world, you also have to have this. Hey, man, you've got to have a tough backbone. And you releasing dumbass stupidity, racial innuendo with no proof, anything, comments like that, you look stupid. I've never seen the NBA, you've been non-relevant for 30 years. You've been non-profitable for 30 years. 30 years you've been non-profitable. And by the way, all the legendary players who are crying about the coverage today of Caitlin, you did nothing to move the needle. Larry Bird's not better than Magic Johnson. But you had a white dude and a black guy in Magic. They were great. They had rivalries, and they won. Same thing here with Angel. You have a chance to do the same thing. History repeating itself. Act like it. Man, don't miss an opportunity because you know what? That's fleeting. That shit's fleeting. And what I mean by that is while you have something that's hot like that, utilize it to the maximum. Let me tell you this. I'll say it again to you. I said it earlier today. Whether you think Donald Trump is this or that, Donald Trump has his own television network. He's on every news station. He's on every cable outlet. There's a segment about him every second, good or bad. Doesn't matter. They're talking about him. And news sells. That's why the news networks are killing it. Dude, Caitlin Clark is a appointment-setting athlete. She's a needle mover. She's like Tyson, Tiger, and the rest of these guys. I mean, act like a sports league. You have me. I watched that game. Huge ratings between Chicago and Indiana. Hell, I watched that game more than I did a men's playoff game. Seals, Fred Warner just got extended, $63 million and $57 guaranteed. Woohoo! They're paying people in San Fran again. They better pay them out there in California. Half that money goes to taxes. Damn. Let me take a look at that. That's some big-ass money here. Okay? Dude, like I said, NBA, get that. Yeah, that's great. Let me see if Sirianni's number's here yet. I can't wait till that thing comes in at $15 million and you're going to know what to think of the guy. Still no money. I see $15 million floating around. So you mean to tell me he's going to make $2 million more than Liam Cohn? All right. Yeah. Hey, here's the difference between Warner. So what does that come out to now? What are we looking at here for Warner? What is that annually? Let's see here. Let me put this up here. Let me see if they got the particulars on it here. If they got the escalators in there yet. Because I got to see it from the NFLPA before I see it. That's an agent. Fred Warner, 3-year contract extension. $63 million, $56 in guarantees. Whew. Warner, 28, was seeking a new deal despite having 2 years remaining on his previous deal. But with the $29.2 million cap hit in 05, both sides decided to come aboard and work the deal. Wow. Wow. That's a great deal, man. And he'll earn that. Look at that money. That's almost what a contract. This, and by the way, that helps the linebacker. That helps the linebacker market. $63 million. You're kidding me. And 57 guaranteed. Holy cow. That's a ton of money, man. Good for Fred Warner. By the way, he was a 3rd-round draft pick. And he's the best interior linebacker in pro football. Why? Because he's done it for a longer period of time. So San Francisco now pays Fred Warner $63 million, 57 guaranteed, and they just gave Brock Purdy $265. They're signing their bench guys, and they're kind of taking a page out of the Philadelphia Eagles. The more money, remember, the more guaranteed money. See that guaranteed number? That's the real number. But the more that number is closer to the guarantee, that's almost a guaranteed contract. With that number, remember, the backside number is what helps the player, obviously. But it also helps the team. Why? Because, again, the more guaranteed, less of the cap hit. Will Tennessee become a free agent destination next season? Depends on how Cam Ward is, Devin. If Cam Ward can move the needle and they can win some ball games, remember, players want to play in places that pay them. You don't have to pay income taxes, Tennessee, and you have a chance to win. You see, the problem with Philadelphia, there is one problem, high taxes. However, they win. You'll overlook that when you're constantly winning and you're constantly in a Super Bowl or the NFC title game. That's why most players want to play in Florida, Texas. They want to play in Michigan. They don't want to play in California. You rarely see big-time free agents leaving to go play in California. Why? Or those players don't fulfill their contracts. Why? Well, because the amount of taxes you have. Players don't want to play in California. Nevada. I think the Raiders, if they get the quarterback position right, Or Arizona. That's another place you can play. Why? Taxes. Remember something. The more money the player gets, the more the agent gets. Why would I send you to New York? Why would I want to negotiate a free agent contract with the Giants or Jets when half that money goes to the taxes? Why would I want to do that? You want to go where you get your return on investment. Like, check it out. If you sign a 3-year, $100 million deal in Philly, and you sign a 3-year, $100 million deal with the Bucks, who makes more? You make the same, but I take home more because I'm in Tampa. That's what the player's looking for. Buffalo, the same. High taxes. Seals, did you know Bosa's grandfather was Tony Accardo, mob boss in Chicago? I did not know that. I know John Bosa. John played at Boston College, Kyle. And then they moved down to Fort Lauderdale, and the kids went to St. Thomas Aquinas, and they all went to Ohio State. But John, I forget where John's from, but John played at BC. And I work off tips and overtime on taxes. That is huge. Raise without a company giving you one. Do you know what it does for the economy? Standard of living. I work off tips and overtime. No taxes on that. Is a huge raise without a company giving you one. Do you know what that does for an economy? No, I don't. But I would say this to you. If you're not paying taxes on any of your tips, okay, and you're not, especially like in Tampa, dude, that's a place where you want to go to work, because Tampa's a tip town. Okay, look at this. Working in Pittsburgh and working in PA, or working in Philadelphia, and the taxes you get whacked on that, I'm going to go to Florida. That's why everybody's leaving New York. Plus, figure this out. Here's something here too. If you live in California, you sign a free agent contract, and you want to play with the Rams, bro, half the money, like 60% of a dollar bill, you get back, right? You know, my aunt's always like telling me, Jesus, man, you really have a big time grocery bill. And I do. But you know what you get? Check this out. Eggs, milk, pasta, some strawberries, some Cokes, creamer, coffee. That's $100. That's $100 in California. I mean, you buy 5 things. You can't leave your house. In California, I would say even in New York, or PA even, you can't get out of your house for 5 items, coming back and it's less than $100. No doubt about it, man. Hey, by the way, congratulations to Fred Warner on getting his contract. That Jose Alvarado deal with the PEDs. So the Philly guy, how many games was it? 85 games he suspended, or 83 games? He's now suspended. Is that right? Is that the number? The Philly reliever? Were you under the impression these guys weren't doing PEDs? But were you under the impression they stopped? They're not stopped. It's just something new. They moved on to the next thing. PEDs and steroids and growth hormone, that shit will never end. It's a part of the culture. I mean, that didn't, everyone's like, oh my God, can you believe he got popped for PEDs? Yeah, he probably didn't cycle right. You'll never get rid of them. It's like people trying to get rid of, like with gun control. Dude, after the Civil War, every human being in America had a gun. That's never changed. Since 1865, you're never going to change taking guns away from people. That's never going to change. Same thing, PEDs. PEDs were a part of sports. That's never going to change. Hey, I get it. Hey, Sue, you didn't really believe that athletes weren't taking something. Now, again, what I want to know is, was it a banned substance or was it a substance that wasn't on the list? There's two things to look at that. Like, you could walk into a GNC, Sue. Okay? You can walk into a GNC and you can buy something that's got ephedra in it or it's not on the NFL list, and you can fail a PED list or a PED test because it's not part of what it's not part of like what's on the banned list and what's on the accepted list. Okay, I mean, so I don't know what it was. Was it growth? Remember, some growth hormone is not a steroid. So again, how I saw that, I saw everybody's outrage, and I'm like, are you under the impression these guys just stopped taking PEDs because what? They test the guys? Now you take shit that is not detectable. Are you under the impression there's stuff that these guys take today, football players included? Dude, Lane Johnson's been popped twice. I mean, you think the second time he would have learned. He's just trying to get an advantage. I get it. You'd be stupid to think that players today aren't doing something. Love Lane too. Sue, love him too. Hey, Sue, let me tell you what happens with a football player. You start the football season out at 300 and here, I'll tell you why guys take juice in football or PEDs or something. You start out, you're 335 pounds at the start of training camp, right? You play, all of a sudden you hurt your elbow. You can't work out for what? Upper body, because you got to kind of rest yourself because you want to play on Sundays. So you can't work out heavy. You got to go kind of light. What happens when you start working out light? Atrophy starts to set in. You're not, you're starting to lose weight because your left arm hurts. Or your conditioning goes because your knee hurts. You can't run. You can't get on the bike. What happens? You start losing weight. And you got to force yourself. A guy like Lane Johnson has to I guarantee you, has to force himself to keep his weight up to about 320 and north of it. Guy was a quarterback or something like that, right? And so what happens is atrophy sets in. By the end of the year, your wrists are hurt, your knees are hurt, you couldn't work out, you lost 20 pounds. So what guys do, they take shit that gives them quicker rehab on your muscles. Hyperextension kind of goes away. If you take a sustanone or propionate, testosterone, you're able to move it out more. Okay? And if you don't want to get caught, you're afraid of getting caught, you'll take a human growth hormone. Remember something, human growth hormone is not a steroid. It's 287 amino chain link amino acids. So it's hard to detect. It's not a steroid. You can't detect it unless you are testing for growth. And growth hormone was given to the elderly and too young for dwarfism and for the elderly so their bones don't break if they fall down. And athletes decided, well, let me just take it and strengthen myself while I'm in great shape. And that's exactly why they take it. Okay? So that's why they take it. They're not taking it to look good in the gym. They're taking it because they lose weight, strength, and with all the injuries you take. Hey, folks, are you under the impression that pro football is played by guys that don't do drugs? You would be insane. You would be crazy to think that. You're not taking it to look good at Gold's Gym. No one gives a shit. I'm doing it because every Tuesday, $100,000 pops in my account. That's the pressure of playing. When you're Lane Johnson and you're making $500,000 a week, you're damn right I'm going to do shit to keep myself on the field. Wouldn't you? You got to keep yourself in that room because you're playing against the guy that's doing the same shit you're doing. Okay? And Yale says, I'm against breaking the rules. So am I. If there's no rule, you're not breaking anything. If there's no rule, and Yale, back in my day, all the way up until I think it was 1998, it became an Act 3 felony to have anabolic steroids on your possession. Prior to that, the NFL didn't even drug test for it. Same thing with baseball didn't drug test for PEDs until 2004. I mean, it's a joke. And by the way, this thing with Rose, I think it's pathetic. That's how we waited for the guy to die, then you put him in. What a weak-ass way to resolve something. You didn't have the balls to do the right thing. So you waited for the guy to die to put him in the Baseball Hall of Fame. Classic MLB. Caving. Now you know why? You don't have to answer to anything. You know, hey, now that he's dead, I think it's a weak-ass way of looking at shit. It's just a weak way to look at it. Baseball resolved it with Rose's death, not with doing the right thing. Because Major League Baseball writers thought that their pen was more powerful and that you guys cared. Okay? Fans didn't care. Fans want to be entertained. Fans want to be entertained. If there's a guy like Barry Bonds or Miguel Cabrera, I don't know, pick one. Manny, anybody. And those guys are entertaining me, I don't care what they're taking. I'm not going to morally judge them because I'm being entertained. I could care less. If an actor's doing drugs and I love the way that guy performs on film, what's that to me? I don't give a shit what he does. I'm not bringing him over to dinner and introducing him to my daughter. I don't care. You know the people that do this, my favorite people are the ones that boycott things. Wait a minute. I like going to Chick-fil-A. I like their sandwiches. Yeah, but what about their politics? I like their sandwiches. I'm not that complicated. I'm not that complicated. Yeah, well, I'm not going to buy that, and I'm going to boycott. I'm not boycotting anything I like. Not changing me because you're stupid. Okay? Dude, let me tell you this, Tom. Hey, mommy, let me put this out there to you. If you made anabolic steroids legal, you think that would help Major League Baseball? Look at the home run race. Look at the home run era when television ratings compared to where they are now. They're in the toilet. Can you imagine if you had guys hitting 70 home runs? Fans would be gravitated to that. They'd want to go watch that. Instead, you know what you do? You deaden the ball. You come up now with a pitch clock because your sport's so boring. I barely talk about baseball. It's one of my favorite sports. You know why? There's no personalities. The baseball's dead, and you have zero excitement except for Shohei Ohtani. That's it. Shit, baseball was more entertaining when you had guys taking juice. Bring the steroid era back. I'm in. I mean, at least it was entertaining. You know, get this. Now we're talking about Jose Alvarado failing a PED test, and people are not even looking at the Phillies are actually doing a pretty good job next to the Mets and the Braves in the AL East. I still think you're the same old Phillies. I don't think you're going anywhere. Starting pitching will come back down to be what the Phillies always have. Bad starting pitching or starting pitching that won't step up when it needs to. That's the story of the Philadelphia Phillies the last 20 years. Has been exactly that. They'll look good. They'll have stretches of looking great. And Bryce Harper will not deliver. He's a great ball player. But Bryce Harper will go down as a guy who was a very talented ball player. But he will not win a World Series. It's hard to believe that the Washington Nationals won a World Series the year after they traded him. They trade him, they win the World's title. Go figure. Baseball is the only sport that you don't need the best player in the game on your team. The Manny Machados of the world and the Arenados, all them guys. I don't need those guys to win World Series titles. Now, if you're the Dodgers and you got Shohei Ohtani, that's a different thing. I'll say one more thing about baseball and Ohtani. He's the best player I've ever seen. And I covered Ricky Henderson and I covered Barry Bonds. And I've never seen anything like it. I've never seen a guy throw 103 miles an hour, steal 50-plus bases, hit 50-plus home runs, and could potentially win you 13, 14 ball games. I've never seen anything like that. He's the modern-day Babe Ruth. The only difference, Babe didn't do it at the same time. Babe's first 6 years, he was a pitcher. Then he turned out to be the greatest right hand or the greatest right fielder in baseball history. But Babe didn't do it at the same time. First couple of years that he started doing that, he did it in Boston before he got to New York. So the NFL didn't care about CTE till Dave Dorson, a member of the NFL front office, killed himself. God, the NFL doesn't give a shit if these guys kill themselves. What would make you think ever that even Dave Dorson? I don't give a shit about that. I heard John McMullen say something. Xander, this is a great take. And I had thought about it. Okay? Chris Benoit, roid rage, KO'd his wife, his whole family. I don't believe that. I think you have steroids doesn't make you that way. You have an internal issue. Like when somebody said that steroids killed Alzado. In a way, it did. If it makes your muscles bigger, it makes your tumor bigger too. So in a way, it enhanced it and quickened it. Does it make you anxious? Yes. Does it make you edgy? Yes. Okay? So you enhance an internal condition that you have. Those guys said something this morning. I hadn't thought about it. Flag football. John thinks that might destroy the game you're watching now. I hadn't thought this. What a safe way of not having to be in a courtroom for CTE and have to answer for players with brain damage or potential brain issues or ligament issues or dealing with like heart conditions than flag football. I was like this. That's stupid. Wait a minute. What's the biggest thing the NFL fears now? The courtroom. CTE. because they know they're killing guys. What's the fastest way to get that down? Take the helmet away. Take the helmet away. Take the helmet away. As soon as you take the helmet away, and you have it kind of like more like rugby, and you have flags, you still got Joe Burrow, you still got Jalen Hurts, you still got A.J. Brown. What a great way not to be sued. And would you still watch that? Yes. I saw ratings for that touch foot. Do you guys know that they're using you as guinea pigs? You know that Pro Bowl thing that they have every year that's ridiculous, that everybody thinks nobody. It got higher ratings than the NBA All-Star game. Guys playing touch football. Got like 3.5 million viewers. Watch that thing. 3.5 million viewers. Just watch somebody play tag and touch football. See, to me, I think the NFL, and to John, I think sports fans going all the way back to the Roman days. I think you like watching mayhem. There's a reason you watch NASCAR. It's not because you want to watch a guy go around a track for 3.5 hours or 4 hours. You watch him for the wreck. Same thing in football. You watch him for the hits, the physical play. Same when you watch boxing. See, this is the part I think John does miss. I think he's right. I think they want it to be like that, but sports fans don't. If you, in my opinion, could somehow profit off of public hangings, you'd watch it. If you put it on pay TV, you'd watch that. Because how many times you're on a highway and you see a car turned upside down, you slow down because you want to see who got killed. If there's anybody hurt. You don't watch NASCAR for 3 hours of, hey, do you see that guy Pitt? Hey, those guys put the 4 tires on. Can you believe how fast? I don't give a shit about that. I want to watch that thing flip upside down, and I want to see that guy get out of the car, wave to the fans. That's the kind of entertainment I like. That's the kind of entertainment I like. That's the kind of entertainment people in the country like. So I think taking away the brutality of the game, you'll turn people away from the game. Okay? That's a good question. I don't know. I don't know how that would look. But let me ask you this, guy. Samuel, here's one thing for sure. They're not starting a league because they think that that's a nothing burger. They're not debating whether or not to let the players play in the Olympics in 2028 in Los Angeles. Okay? I mean, there's a reason they're doing it. The NFL does everything for a reason. Look at us, like I told you about the streaming. Look at the streaming. Everyone's getting into it now because you know why? Look at you. You spend more of your life now in front of a computer than you do in your car. You're in front of your phone. You're in front of your computer. You stream. You download for your information. Eyeballs are on your computer screen, not your radio anymore. That's why they're getting rid of AM radio. They're getting rid of AM radio and they're putting YouTube in it. So, you know how many people, let me just show you something here. How many people watch my show from their car and have me plugged into their car? This is incredible. I didn't realize this. And how many people are in their car watching me in their car instead of listening to the radio? I never thought that. It never dawned on me. Sills, I had a guy the other day send me he sent me a comment on my X account, and he DM'd me and he goes, "Hey man, I watch you every day." And I'm like, "Oh really? So you at home?" And he goes, "No, in my car on my way to work." I'm like, "What?" He goes, "Yeah, I watch you in my car on my YouTube on my way to work." I guess Mercedes-Benz has it where you can watch on YouTube. Is that right? And so this guy goes, "Yeah, I watch you on YouTube in my Mercedes on the way to work when I go into Philadelphia." And I'm like, that's incredible. Okay. I mean, and can you do it in the Tesla too? Is that right, Sue? That's fantastic. Ton of people telling me that. All right. I'm going to do, and I wrote down a couple teams here. I'm going to play a game with you here. Hit the like button, guys. Appreciate you guys today. Thank you for all the super chats too, by the way. Step up, step down. These are teams that I think are going to step up and step down. I heard Xander talking about certain teams that he thinks that are going to take a step backwards. So I thought I'd come up with it. And what's crazy about this, I get JAKIB on Odyssey, of all things. Odyssey broadcast my show. That's funny. And don't tell my wife that or my aunt that. But Odyssey, you watch my show on Odyssey. Can't get away from those guys. And I want to. Here's teams that I think. Now, do you guys want to hear step up or step back? First, teams that I think will step back. What do you want? Let's do step up. Okay? I'm going to start it with the Buffalo Bills stepping up. I don't think they're stepping back. How could you with that shitty schedule? Where they'll fail is when they get into the postseason and they have to play against a really good football team. The competition that they're going to play with that schedule they have, they're going to start the season at least 7-1. I mean, look at the AFC East. So when you guys say step back, that team's going to have the most wins of any team in the AFC. Where are they going? It's an easy. Do you know they have one of the easiest schedules in football? And that team made it to the AFC Championship game. They're going to have a great record. Make no mistake about it. There's nobody in the East. And they, in my opinion, I would not be shocked if they sweep the AFC East. That's right, Abe. And they get a first-round bye. It's a weak division. I got Baltimore. Third year, Todd Monken. They improved with Malachi Starks at safety. They added Mike Green. They improved their O-line. Another year with Zay Flowers. I'll tell you what. I'll kind of give you a precursor here. I'd like Baltimore to win the AFC this year. I think Baltimore wins the AFC. Unless something wild happens, I could see Derrick Henry going for 2,000 yards this year. The quarterback playing great, and them having a spectacular defense. Okay? I might be taking the Bills, not sure yet. Dude, I again, like I said, I just wonder if that shitty schedule He's going to have them prepped to play in the playoffs because John McMullen goes, they may have that division wrapped up by November. Well, if you're shutting shit down by November, are you going to be ready and rocking and rolling when you come to the AFC playoffs? I don't know. I think Cincinnati. I don't know why. I'm probably because I like Joe Burrow so much. That defense can't be that bad. It can't be that bad like it was a year ago. I mean, shit, if they're 15th, they're winning 12 games. And for the record, Cincinnati 2 years in a row, they cannot start the way they did the last 2 years. I mean, you shoot yourself in the foot like that. Houston. These are teams that I think are going to take a step up. I'll tell you something, man. You could say all the shit you want about C.J. Stroud last year. He still got his team in the playoffs. And I thought they outplayed the Chiefs. And I think they've gotten better on defense. Boy, man, for an organization that was falling all over itself, and after that whole Deshaun Watson deal, man, the Texans, especially on defense, I think the Texans may have the best defense in all of football. They're really good at every level. D-line, linebackers, and secondary. I got the LA Chargers stepping up. I think they're going to continue to get better and better and better and better under Jim Harbaugh. You know, Jim Harbaugh doesn't fail. Anywhere he's coached, he has never failed. Doesn't matter if it's the University of San Diego, Stanford, 49ers, the Chargers. I mean, he did a wonderful job with the Niners. I mean, and you did this with the Spanos owning your team. I got the Chargers stepping up. Michigan, thank you, Abe. Get this. Think about this for a second here on what Abe says about Jim Harbaugh, Michigan. I don't remember Bo Schembechler winning a national title there. Do you? I mean, I don't remember Bo winning a national title. In the 28 years he was there, I don't remember them ever winning. They were a Big Ten team. They were never a national power. Michigan was never a national power until Jim Harbaugh showed up. They were a regionalized power. Dual threat. 22 months? Absolutely, Niner. Absolutely. Niner, you're going to like this. Since you jumped aboard, Niner, I disagree with everyone. I think the 49ers are going to rebound. Everyone in Philly hates that team. Well, I don't. I don't really hate any team. That's why I could be more objective. I think the 49ers are going to bounce back. And you're in a pretty good division. You got the Rams, you got the improving Cardinals, and you got Seattle. You may be a 10-win or 11-win team. But if you were the 49ers and you played in the NFC South, say, you'd win 12 games. So just don't go by what your record is. Look at the opponents you're playing and what division you're in. I think you've got good coaching. By the way, the Philadelphia Eagles don't have anybody on that team on the edge that's in the room with Nick Bosa. And Jalen Carter's not better than Nick Bosa. Not yet. Now, he's interior, he's edge. But as an impact player, wake me up when and by the way, Nick Bosa's not that old. 2 years ago, he won the NFL Defensive Player of the Year. We're talking about an impact player. And also, now you just put Fred Warner in that building. Remember something. Jalen Carter's not even the best interior tackle in the NFC East. Hey, albeit those two guys may be the best two tackles and the best two interior tackles in all of pro football. Okay? So, I mean, if I'm going to start my DTs, is it going to be Dexter Lawrence and Jalen Carter? Yeah, probably. To be fair to that point, right? Stop what madness? Nobody in their right mind would ever suggest that Jalen Carter is better than Dexter Lawrence. Nobody. Not even Clint Hurt. I got the Washington Commanders stepping up big and bigger. You know why? They may ask Jaden Daniels to do less and take some of the strength off of him having to carry the team. Got to improve the run game. You don't want him getting banged up. But everyone's under the assumption this kid's going to make a step back. Why? Why would he make a step back when you have – if you guys are telling me that Detroit's going to make a step back because they lost their coordinators, Washington kept all their coordinators. And they added. And they drafted. Why would they make a step back? Is that just a guess? I would have went with you if they had lost Cliff Kingsbury or Dan Quinn. But they added and made Debo instead of the prime target. They made him a second wheel. Everyone looks at that Debo move and goes, well, Debo's not being asked to be the number one wide receiver in San Francisco. He's asked to be number 2 guy and maybe even a number 3 guy, depending on how Cliff uses him. I mean, hey, I know this. Every time Debo has played against Philadelphia, I've seen a highlight reel with that guy. He's a pretty good football player if used correctly and healthy. That's an issue. I agree. Washington's run defense will be suspect to me because of the loss of Jonathan Allen. Yeah, again, hey, Niner. Every time I watch Deebo Samuel against the Eagles, I watched a highlight reel that you could just send out there when him destroying people when Philly. That guy's a good football player, man. Go to sleep on him. This is probably going to be a shocker. I got the Cowboys stepping up. I still don't think their record's going to be that hot because I just look at him and the run defense, the run offense, I don't know. But I think Dak, George Pickens, I think they're going to move the sticks. I think they probably get better towards the second half of the season. But I think it's going to be a challenge in the opening part of the year for the Dallas Cowboys. I got the Bucs. How far? I asked this question this morning. How far can they go? I think that Philly game's going to tell everybody. I think that's week 4, the September 28th game. That game's going to tell me about the Bucs more than they are about the Eagles and how far they can go. I made a proclamation today. I think Hassan Reddick is going to be one of the greatest free agent signs of any team. I do. Why? He's got a proven track record. There's not 1 year like Ojulari or Uche. Those guys have 1 year on their resume. This guy's got 4. This guy's got 4 insane years. And he's still got $11.5 million for that fiasco him going to the Jets. And I guarantee you that guy has double-digit sacks in Tampa. So Todd Bowles gets to move him around. I'll tell you this. If I were Philadelphia Eagle fans, I would circle that date. Hassan Reddick. You don't want that guy getting loose with Todd Bowles putting him in a position because Todd Bowles owns you. And now he's got a weapon that I saw destroy Brock Purdy. And as Yale said, he lost money last year. That fired that engine up even more, in my opinion. Seals, would you rather have Ramsey or Gilmore? Gilmore's cheaper, Ramsey's better. But Ramsey's going to cost you more. I got the Rams continue to improve, but will they be a tough team? Let me run through these here. These are the teams that I think are taking a step back. I think the Dolphins are going to fire their coach by the end of the year. Minnesota, all the moves they made, you know what it looks like to me? It looks like the dream team you guys had about, 8 years ago? The Chip Kelly dream team. You signed all these guys, and you didn't have a quarterback. I mean, I don't see it. I think Denver's got a really good defensive football team. But what's on offense? Who's running the ball? Is Bo Nix going to take another step? Okay, right? I think Kansas City's going to start strong. First half of the season. My question will be, are they going to fall apart at the end of the year because they're too old? Travis Kelce coming back. Why? Does that guy look like he has anything left in the tank? I don't see it. You know, I kept Philly out of this conversation, step up and step back, because I don't know yet. So I didn't put him either side because I do think you have great coaching. I got Seattle taking a step back. Sam Darnold goes to the Raiders. Oh, no, you get Sam Darnold and Geno goes to the Raiders. I don't know. Those are free agent conversations we had. One last thing before you take off here. I got to take one line. Sirianni contract. Let's see here. Anybody with the money? Nothing with the money yet? Hey, Bob, you better not be right, dude. That thing better not be $15 million. This guy's Liam Cohn. Let's see here. Ooh, I see another 15. I see WGAL reporting 15.5. Woo! You better hope that don't come in like that with 2 years or 3 years. All right. Guys, I appreciate you. Fantastic stuff as always. We shall see and hear more about that contract extension. Big Z, congratulations to you, man. Joe, congratulations to you and the family, too. 2 to 6 tomorrow, and we'll see you on the flip side.